You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience Podcast.
We are back with that kid. Oh, hello, Louie. What's going on? Louie is off tonight on assignment again.
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Are you supposed to send that back to me, by the way?
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
All right.
No, I'm not sending you my Louis doll back. This is my Louis doll.
I found that on eBay, bro.
I know, but I have to have them here for moments like these tonight.
You got to take your picture too, because it's over there. It's not doing any good. You should put it back there. The picture of you with your Proby Pete.
Okay, I'll take the Proby Pete photo.
Anyway, we are back. We got the Firehouse Kitchen Table, bro. Not just from New York, from all over the country. Tonight we're up in Worcester. We're at the Worcester Kitchen Table. Welcome to the show again, Fat Daddius.
Oh, thanks for having me back. I have nothing to do, so I'd rather do it here.
All right. I feel privileged. I feel honored.
So enthusiastic. So much to add.
Yeah. Well, my boy Roofy's off on his anniversary. Somewhere romantic.
Yeah.
See those nice pictures he was sending, man?
Oh, yeah. I saw
Toity, right? Toity's up there.
I guess that's how the hoi polloi.
That's how the hoi polloi. That's how they live their lives. The hoi polloi. Yeah. We got a hard charger from Worcester that we met up. You weren't there. It was me and Cliffy up at the New England Chiefs show. Just from walking around, he came to our booth. We went to his booth. Great guy. Hard charger. I knew it. As soon as I saw him, it's hard charger.
Yeah, some of his photos here are pretty freaking salty as hell. You know,
he looks like a salty old guy we know too.
He does. Pete, do you have a picture of that guy? He's a doppelganger.
He's a doppelganger for this gentleman right here, a certain captain.
He looks just like him. That's Captain Evans.
The doppelganger. Right out of the womb in that picture. Holy shit!
Look at that young fella.
Full head of hair.
Those were the days.
Is that an earring?
It certainly is. Two in both ears.
Hold on.
Two in both ears.
You're a fucking pirate, man.
I was a pirate.
Didn't Tommy Evans have an earring like that as well?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. We can't tell you what that arrow was because it was a derogatory thing that he was writing to me. But
sounds like, hey.
Yeah, Miki, I look like one of the Goombas there, man. Forget about it.
Paying dues in the Colombian Association.
Yeah, no doubt.
Very nice, boys. Very nice. All right. Well, do we want to get to our guest after we do a little, housekeeping?
Yeah, do the housekeeping, Pete, and then we're going to bring our doppelganger for Tom Evans. Tom Evans' doppelganger.
It's Monday night, and that's a special night, as you all know, because that's the night where we introduce you guys to New Jersey Fire Equipment Company. Established in 1930 and under the current ownership since 1987, the New Jersey Fire Equipment Company handles a complete line of fire department equipment and supplies. Headquartered in Greenbrook, the company operates full 3M Scott service facilities in Ridgefield Park and Toms River, staffed by 10 fully authorized Scott certified technicians with a fleet of 6 fully equipped service vans. All New Jersey fire technicians and sales representatives are active or retired firefighters, officers or chief officers, career and volunteer. They understand the business and the importance of their work. New Jersey Fire has represented Scott since Earl Scott entered the SCBA business at the end of World War II. Among other leading manufacturers represented by New Jersey Fire are Globe and Firedex Turnout Gear, Mercedes Hose, Task Force Tips and Akron Brass, Hygenol, Firehooks, Arctic Compressors, MSA Carnes Helmets, ChemGuard Foam, Alkalite and Duo Safety Ladders, BA Face Shield Protectors, Truckman's Choice Saws, Grove's Gear Racks and Washer Dryers, Supervac Fans, RPI, Streamlight, and many others. A New Jersey incorporated and based company, sales and service are limited to the state of New Jersey. Find us now at www.njfe.com. That's www.njfe.com.
You gotta love the brothers in the chat, bro. Some of the stuff they were writing was hysterical. Procaccini writes, it's Captain Evans and Captain Morgan. Check it out.
That was a good
Show
one.
that picture again.
Hold on. Captain Evans and
Somebody right.
Gary!
There's only 2 members of Wham.
Gary!
See, now we're not doing a 5 minutes of fury. They're funny as hell, bro. Right? I mean,
it's unbelievable.
Karen.
Yeah. You know, they just hop in on you when you least expect it. But when you put them under the pressure to win a prize, no go.
Nah,
unbelievable.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, that's my Captain Tommy Evans spent many a nights in the front cab going to jabs. Yeah.
Jabs. Right. Well, before we get to our salty esteemed guest, 2 more quick things, guys. If you guys want to support us, remember to head on over to gettinsaltyapparel.com, where you will find the finest hats, t-shirts, hoodies, accessories, firefighter t-shirts, hoodies, apparel, and accessories in the game. Gettinsaltyapparel.com. Guys, if you're watching the show live, hit us up in the super chat or the super thanks. We appreciate it because you guys are our number 1 sponsors, and any of that helps us support the show and keep it growing, keep it moving, man. It keeps the wheels greased around here. So as always, in advance, very humbly, thank you so much. That's it.
Nice.
Now we can get to the real deal.
Yes. All right. And
You're very welcome,
QC Beast. I sent them a shirt. Guys, I have an influx of stuff to Coop's podcast. Keep sending it, bro. I love it. All of a sudden, Pete, I don't know what it is. Kicking it up.
Well, you know, they're coming back from their family vacations. Summer's starting to wind down. Right. And here we go now. We're back to where
All right. Let's bring our guest. He's a hard charger from Worcester. What did he say before? Right after he said Carl. What did he say? Call. He was saying on call.
Go fight Carl.
He was Carl. Like, who the hell is Carl? He was saying Carl.
Carl.
Yeah. Let's bring him in here. Paul LaRochelle. Here he comes.
Hey, gents. How's everybody doing?
Excellent.
How are you, sir?
First of all, I must commend you, sir, on that shirt. I love it. I'm loving it, bro.
Well, thank you.
That had to be a gift. Who bought you that?
My children.
Nah, I knew it.
I did wear my uniform for tonight, though. So I wanted to dress up to start the show, but then I better support.
Oh, there he goes. He's like Superman. He came right out of that thing, bro.
Oh, no joke.
Yeah.
What's going on, LT?
How are you, boss?
Slightly terrified.
Terrified?
Of us 3 idiots? All right. Before we dive deep into Lou's career. It's a great career. He's definitely a salty firefighter. Pete, let's do our patriotic duties before Susie loses her shit in there.
Oh, well, listen, as you guys know, as always, we are the most patriotic show in the game, and I bring you tonight, as always, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Still gives me chills. All right, get right into it, Pete. Right from there to what? To the old drinking.
Oh, for the alcoholics in the audience.
Let me pop this open. Hold on a minute.
That's not a White Claw, is it?
What?
That's not a White Claw, is it?
No, I've switched off the White Claws to the what did I say they are, Pete? The
oh, not the Trulies.
No.
What's this one? New one? Some weird one that's a vodka-based one.
Oh.
He said it's vodka with some flavor and
grapefruit.
Whatever. It's
all
fruity. Right. It's fruity. It's bubbly. It's Kevin.
Well, according to that picture, anyway.
The word of the day is Jake.
Oh!
Jake, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we call what? The firefighters only are called Jakes up there, or is it like a cultural
like
thing?
Like a Jake off or like a.
No, it's a spinoff from in the early days in Boston when they first had the fire alarm boxes. You had to have a key to get into the boxes, and it was shaped like a J. So they used to call it the J key. And it turned into Jake, and then over the time, if you were a good firefighter, they'd say you were a good Jake.
Oh, okay. All right. So there's some history there. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, Jake's baseball. I have that hat feet away from me. That's okay, Kev. Don't put your headphones on and let your chest hang right out. Don't worry about it. That's totally fine. I don't know what you're doing with your lighting either, but that's totally fine. Totally fine. Turn that off too.
That's the Jake's hat I got from my Boston buddy. It's a Jake's
all right.
hat.
Jake it is.
Yep.
All right.
I probably look like a Jake off in it, right? Don't I?
A little bit. A little bit. So, you strike me as a pretty serious character, LT. I got to say. And before we get into it, I've acquired some, if I could say, some audio files, some recorded audio files about how serious you are. And this is someone talking about how serious you could be. I gotta play this for the audience.
Where did this come from? I don't even know.
Listen.
You have your sources. All right, good.
If there was a union problem or, say, a beef in the numbers, then only the top guys can meet with Paulie to discuss the problem.
Is that true?
Play that again. I missed half of it.
Slice the onions with a razor blade.
Yeah.
Oh, the garlic.
I heard.
It would just disintegrate it to the oil.
That's
For a guy who moved all day, Paulie didn't have to do much. You know what I mean?
No. Let's go back to the early days.
Okay.
Lou, you had family on the job? I know your wife had family on the job, but what about you?
So my father was a call firefighter, like you tried to say earlier. And
not Carl, the firefighter. Right. He was a call firefighter.
Yeah. And that was in 59, and they were they had a drill one night, and they had 4 lines off the engine. And as they were shutting each line down, the relief valve wasn't set, so the pressure kept going into the next line. He was on the 4th line, and the hose was actually starting to expand, and the guy behind said, "I can't hold it." And when my father turned to look, the nozzle come up, hit him in the head.
Holy
and
shit.
He just about lost his eye.
Oh,
no. Oh, my God.
That was pretty much the end of his career.
Was this your old man?
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you.
That's me. And that's my first fire.
Okay, we'll get to this. I thought this might be your old man, and we didn't have time to label it. So,
that's okay.
All right.
No worries.
All right, we'll get to that later. All right.
So my father was a call firefighter. I had a couple uncles that were full-time firefighters. And both of my brothers ultimately became firefighters with me in Southbridge, and a cousin as well. So there were 4 LaRochelles on the fire department in Southbridge at one time, and really a lot of fun for the chief.
Wow. No
Where
doubt.
was your old man a firefighter?
In Southbridge as well. Yeah. He was a call
I guess that's where you grew up, in Southbridge?
Yes.
Now, I didn't know what this was. Explain, maybe the rest of the country does, but what is a call firefighter?
So you're basically going about your business, whatever that happens to be. And then in this particular town, they had a big horn on top of the roof of the firehouse that would blow the number from the street box. When that came in, you'd go in and you'd get on the truck and go to work. And they paid you a small stipend. It really wasn't much. It was just all about the love for doing it. That was
what was the actual pay? That's interesting.
I think we used to get $200 for 6 months.
That much?
Yeah.
Well, gas was still 75 cents a gallon, so that was pretty good.
Yeah. In 1979, again, it wasn't, that was enough to maybe, take a girl out or something like that, but that was about it.
Right. So it's basically like Ray said, it's like being paid to be a volley, right? I mean, you're doing the same thing. You're not staying at the firehouse, right? You're wherever you are.
No, and there's drills that you have to attend each month and stuff like that. But it's really just for the love of the job and the hope that it's a stepping stone to get a full-time position.
Are there still a lot of call firefighters up in Massachusetts?
So it's really dwindling. They're having a hard time in a lot of departments getting people to volunteer, because life is busy. It's just everything else is a priority, and there's a lot of negativity about the fire service, cancer and things like that. And, so
it's not about the fire service in terms of the people. It's more about the dangers of the job. You mean, Paul?
Yeah. There's every time you turn around, if you read an article in a magazine, it talks about the prevalence of cancer and things like that. And, again, big events that have happened, and in Worcester in particular, we've had a bunch of line of duty deaths, and it's just a systemic problem, and people, younger guys, a lot of them don't want to get jobs that are getting dirty, and the hours are great, but still you got to work weekends, you got to work holidays once in a while. So
I'm trying to get my son to do it. He don't want to do it. He comes from, he's been third generation.
Yeah.
All his uncles, my father, no interest, none. Can't.
There's easier ways to make money,
Yeah, right.
They make a lot more money.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's all you want to do is make the money, right? Like, but I think Nicky wants to be a cop anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he wants to be a cop. I don't know. We talked about this at the last audio file thing. We said, whenever you see another job with guys looking to go to more work, can we take that boxing? Can we go to that fire? You don't hear that anywhere else. Can I work more hours? I'd be on vacation. I couldn't wait to get back to the firehouse after I was off for like 2 weeks.
Oh, thank God for roster staff and overtime. Got you in the firehouse.
Yeah, right.
On vacation.
To the firehouse while you're on vacation, right? What other job is like that? You can't wait to get back to work. That's silly.
In our job, if you're less than an hour early, you're late.
Yeah, right. There you go. Right.
Starts at 8. If you're not there by 7, you're a scumbag.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. Right. You come in sometimes an hour, 2 hours early, right? You try to get the guy to take early relief, You ready to go? You ready to go? You ready to go?
You'd walk out of the house, you'd be like, whew.
Yeah.
I'm going to the womb.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you never looked at the clock. I don't understand why these kids don't like. I don't know, Paul. I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right. So after you do that, you become it says 79. This was 76. You started in the small town in Southbridge in the combo. So 79, you became the call firefighter, and then 83. Provisional full-time, reappointed every 30 days. What does that mean?
So prior to my appointment there, they had never had any provisional jobs. They were short a couple people, and they needed to hire a couple people right away. Mm-hmm. So they got a hold of my friend Alan Brackett and myself, and they said, hey, can you come to the firehouse on Friday, have a meeting? We showed up, and they said, hey, we're going to offer you a job, but it's only provisional. It's every 30 days. We have to hire you, and we're going to have a test now. This time we're going to have a test. So prior to that, there was no exam. If you were on the call department long enough and you were a decent guy, then eventually you got your shot at a full-time job. So now all of a sudden you had to take a test. So
and this was in Southbridge, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What about Jake? Did he try out?
Hey.
Oh.
Yeah, you see, I figured
stuck
you
that
out
in there. Yeah, you did. I waited for you to reach for something over there, bro.
I knew that he was going for it, so now my guard is up.
Look at him, bro. So look at Pete.
Some of my gun.
All right, so you're provisional, and every 30 days they can either hire you back or shit can you, basically.
That's right. Yep. So you really have to play nice with others.
Yeah. So how long did it take for you to actually get hired full time?
It was about 4 months. They had the test, and then we got hired, and it ended up being not the guy that was with me provisionally. He didn't do quite as well on the test. It was actually my cousin. I finished number 1. He finished number 2. And we had an ambulance in that fire department, so that was our primary job. But then we also drove the ladder truck, which was a tiller, which, as anybody knows, it's done that. It's the greatest job in the world. So it was pretty cool.
Right.
So you guys EMTs or anything like that?
EMTs. Yep. Yeah. Do lots of ambulance calls.
How much fire did you do over there in Southbridge? Did you guys go to?
So we got sent to the State Fire Academy. It was 9 weeks at the time. My first night out of the academy, caught a good fire in a cellar of a Cape-style house. And, it was kind of interesting because we always have a dispatcher on duty. So when you have 5 people working, there's only 4 going out the door. And the officer that night says, look, if we go with 1 truck, you come with us. If we go 2 trucks, you got to go in the second truck to be the hydrant man. So we go 2 engines to this fire. And I grabbed the hydrant. And we were in the middle of transitioning between positive pressure air packs and non-positive pressure. So the regulator connection was different. The kid that had the nozzle, he grabbed the mask, grabbed the pack, went up, realized he had the wrong face piece, and we kind of passed each other on the front lawn, like, where the heck's he going? You know,
that's sort of dangerous, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, you know. But I mean, what do you do? So
of course you stole a nozzle from him, right, Paul? I mean, there's another.
You know, I tried, but he had more time.
I thought that was for sure.
Yeah, so we crawl into the kitchen, and the floor is kind of sagging and so forth. But I'm brand new; I don't know really any better, you know.
Right.
And kind of found our way to the cellar, got down the stairs, put the fire out. My younger brother, he always seemed to be the guy that got to the fire off duty the soonest. So he comes crawling in, and after the fire, you know, they're saying to us, like, why did you go across the kitchen? Like, well, the nozzle guy did. And, you know, he had more time than me. I figured if it was okay for him, you know,
right.
Why did you go across the kitchen? Well, my brother went across the kitchen. Why? I think it must have been okay, you know, so my first night, you know, we could have plunged through the floor into the basement, and it could have been a very short career, but it all worked out, you know.
Yeah. So your brother now, he wasn't a paid guy. He was probably one of those on-call guys.
Yes. Yeah. One of the on-call guys.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool to working with your brother, right? How big was that department, Paul?
So it was, there's 30 guys, 30 full-time. There was 20 call firefighters, and then there was 20 auxiliary firefighters, which were the guys that they couldn't go in or anything like that, but they could help pick up and everything. You know, 16-year-old to 19-year-old.
That's a decent amount of guys, though. How many firehouses did they have?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
And they had what in there? 2 engines, or they had a ladder, or what they have?
3 engines, a ladder, a rescue, a couple of forestry trucks, 2 ambulances. Right, it's a big house. It's like 6 doors.
Right. Wow.
Nice.
And it says 82, you took the New York City test, right? What made you decide that you wanted to try that out?
Well, again, I'm not that big of a fan of the ambulance. You know, I like the work. I grew up with Bob Athanas. I know you guys know who he is.
Somebody just threw that in there, that they said that he was a Southbridge guy.
Yeah, he was. And, you know, we went to fires together and stuff back then. And he ended up going out there, and he had taken me sparking out there a few times. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. You know, in the South Bronx, looking around in 79 going, yeah, it's like they get some work here.
Yeah.
So, so I took the written, did really well, got about a 96. And then they sent me to take the agility test, which was in Brooklyn in the Armory, the old Armory back behind the Nut House. And it went early, caught a fire in Brooklyn in a church, and my wife was with me. And, you know, we're taking pictures, waiting, and all of a sudden the lieutenant from 214 engine comes over, and he's like, what's a white girl doing in this neighborhood? And she goes, oh, it's my husband over there. He's taking pictures. He's going to take the agility test. So he said, come back to the firehouse. So I followed him back to the firehouse. They gave me a bunch of pointers on the test. And, you know, that really helped me to do well, because I would have done things more gentlemanly than, and I missed 100% on the agility test by 3 seconds.
So that's what happened to me the first time I took it.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Changed my number by about 2,000.
Yeah, right. Just 3 seconds. Yep.
Yeah. And the guys were disappointed. They're like, you missed it by 3 seconds, you know.
Well, things happen for a reason, right?
I mean,
everyone's asking for a welfare check on Sealy. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. He's okay.
He was catatonic for a minute, like this.
We can't hear you though.
Can't hear you, Ray. Ray,
you're gonna have to go out and come back in and adjust your audio, buddy. We can't hear you.
Well, there's his hand.
We can't hear you. Oh, maybe he can fix it now.
He's out. And he's out. He's out.
Todd Swansby is saying, P, I think Ray's having a stroke. Neen is saying welfare check on Ray, could be dead.
He's stroking out.
John 2, he had a stroke. Yeah.
What is John 2's in there? Where is Johnny 2? Oh, Johnny 2's in there.
Johnny 2, Rescue 4,
yeah.
man.
Are you back, Ray?
I'm back. I had to switch your appliances.
Pete, what is these with these old guys like Hank? This guy, they get no good internet, bro. What the, you know,
fixed income. Okay, give the guy, you know, he doesn't have like a sprawling metropolis like you do, or Louis, you know, with a lodge in the woods. You know what I mean?
He's got a big silver plate in his window. I don't know what that is over there, but he's got a big silver plate.
That's from the UFLA on my retirement. They sent me a big pewter dish.
Pewter dish.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. Probably want to put it in my window or put a salad on it. I don't know.
Oh, put some spaghetti. That's a nice spaghetti dish, bro.
Yeah.
A little pasta. Make a little pasta with gravy. You know what I mean?
Oh, the Italian's coming out. Look out.
You saw that, right? Bring Hank back. Somebody.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right. So wait.
Hank needs friends.
So this was this, are we at this point yet? Your first
Yeah,
fire?
so that was when I was an auxiliary firefighter. So I was about 17. We wore rubber coats at the time.
No kidding.
But I had a leather helmet because that's what all the cool guys wear, you know.
What color is that helmet, though?
Yellow.
A yellow auxiliary with a rubber slicker.
Yeah.
It looks like you're stretching off the back of somebody's station wagon. What is that?
It's actually the we had a power supply truck. That was kind of our thing because we couldn't go into the building, and so we could run lights and supply electricity and stuff like that. Yeah. So
look at you with the good auxiliary with your chin strap on there. Look at you man.
Right. $55 leather helmet with eye shields.
$55. Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Brand new. Yeah.
Was that a Collins helmet?
Yes, it was. Absolutely.
Oh, yep. Do you still have that by any chance or not?
I absolutely do.
Oh my God.
What do those helmets cost now, right? Those got to be a lot of money, right?
They're like $800.
Wow. I see these kids at the shows all the time dropping money buying these leather helmets. I'm like, where does this kid get this money from, man?
I think I paid $95 when I got on the job for the leather helmet.
Jeez.
$95. That's the one where they fit on your head, right? They would take the thing and measure your head.
Right. They had this contraption that they put on your head, and it like punched the shape of your head like an oblong rectangle, you know.
Right. And then saying, Mrs. Procaccini's husband saying $1,000.
Wow. Yeah. Except they screwed that thing into your head, though, right, Ray? They used the nuts and they screwed it down hard.
like a Frankenstein monster.
Herman Munster style.
Yes, master.
All right.
So yeah, we actually caught a lot of work in Southbridge. A lot of old housing stock. It kind of had its own little area that was kind of a ghetto-y area and lots of close buildings. I had a fire. Timmy Klett talked about a fire that kind of defined his career when he was on the show. And I had a fire in October 4th, 1984. Working the night tour about 1 a.m. Get a call for a house fire on the way. And he said, there's a kid trapped. So I'm the guy with the pipe and pull up, smoke showing from the second floor, pretty good fire in a 3-decker. And, go up the stairs and now they're telling me there's a kid in there. And so I go in. And my officer at the time, he didn't really wear the air pack thing, you know. So I kind of went in by myself and went in the bedroom, knocked the fire down, and actually found the kid in the crib. And it was, way too late. And
oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, and then it kind of came out. And of course, my younger brother, he's following the line, and I bump into him, and I go, "Hey, I got my mama out of air." I said, there's a kid in there, but it's too late. Just make sure you knock the rest of the fire down. And, there was no CISM stuff. There was none of that. And, I didn't handle it well. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a hot shot. I'm going to get in there and do everything just right. And kind of slapped me down and kind of put me in my place. And like I said, it was a real tough time for me. And then, it was a little baby, and to make matters, kind of worse was sometimes these things are situational. So because of the big horn on the station, my wife knew there was a fire, and she came to the fire.
Oh, man.
And she was about 8 months pregnant at the time. So now here's this little baby dead in the building, and my wife's standing there pregnant. And again, it was just a bad time for me, like I said, there was no CISM and stuff like that. So, we got through it. And, later on in life, like when the cold storage happened and so forth, I was able to handle it because of the lessons that I had learned the hard way early on,
Yeah.
But you mentioned a 3-decker. I think you should tell anybody that's not from Massachusetts what a 3-decker is.
So these were built about 1890 and 1910-ish. 3-story frame, balloon construction. Most of the apartments were the same, except for some of the top floors would be different because they might have a peaked roof instead of a flat roof. So the layout would be slightly different. Some of them had mansard roofs, again, would make the layout a little bit different. But, usually 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. And with the balloon framing, if you got a fire that got into the walls, it would immediately go right to the attic, but it also can drop down into the basement. So, first floor fire, you had to get 3 lines in operation really quick.
Yeah, we had a couple other guys who from Boston who were saying that 3 deckers. And
Yeah.
Are those the ones with the wooden fire escapes on the front of the house, on the front of the building?
So yeah, either front and rear wood porches, or this one had a side porch and a rear porch, and that's what we entered in from the side porch. Again, it was a 1-line fire; it was no big deal, but
it's the one that left the mark on you, right?
Bad. Yeah, a lot of scars there for that one, but and then we move on. There were lots of fires there. I stumbled onto a 1,000-foot-long mill that was on fire one day. I was the first one on scene. I'm driving down the street and I look and I go, "Oh my God, look at the smoke!" And fire's out 2 windows on the top floor. Everybody's coming down the stairs. I go, "Okay, everybody getting out." Now I'm like, "Geez, everybody probably can see this. Did anybody call?" And this is kind of prior to cell phones. I hear the sirens and like, okay, I look back down the alley. Now the fire's out like 15 windows.
Holy shit.
And it ends up pretty much burning to the ground, except for the front section where there was a fire door, And It was a couple of days we were there. And it was kind of cool because the monks from St. Joe's Abbey had an old New York City engine, and they came to the fire.
Come on, really?
Swear to God. It's in Spencer, Massachusetts. And, we're like, "Can we talk to you? I mean, you guys and they're like, "Yeah, when we're not in the Abbey, we can talk." I'm like, "Oh, cool." And they went and drafted out of the river. Nobody else wanted to go down in this alley because they were afraid they were going to lose their truck. And they're like, "We'll go down there." So they were drafting. It was kind of cool.
What kind of turnout gear does a monk have, bro? I gotta know that.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Hats, well, they look like colonels. They got the things, the epaulette things on the top.
Blessed.
It's all blessed. That's so funny, man. They don't talk when they're in the Abbey, but when they're outside,
they could talk. Yeah. So that was
really
fun. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They would have to give all signals by hand.
Yeah.
Drop the second. Give me the second alarm.
Give me the second alarm. Yeah. And then 6 nights later, we catch. I'm working, and fire comes in, and you hear on the speaker, "Fuego, fuego," and all this stuff. And when the cops could talk too, and the cops going, "Fire on Hamilton Street." As I'm going down the back stairs of the firehouse, I said to the captain, I go, "I can see the fire from here." And he goes, "You see the smoke?" I go, "No, I can see the flames." We're like 10 feet away. So we roll up. There was a building we had a fire in the previous year that was gutted to the studs. It was 11 apartment wood frame building, 5 stories in the back. Was fully involved. The house next door was 9 apartments. That was heavily involved.
They'll probably run out of there like cockroaches.
Oh yeah, and we roll in with 3 guys. That's it. Nobody else is coming.
I was gonna ask you how many guys are on the rig.
Yeah, 3 guys. We dropped 2 hydrant lines. One of them was on fire in the street before we got water in it, and then a big line up to the church. Because that's nobody. When people will tell me something later on, you can't do that. You can't trench a roof with 3 guys. Well, why? So in Southbridge, they didn't know any better. It's like, what do you mean you can't do all that stuff? We just did it,
You do what you got to do.
Yeah, there is no can't, I hate that word.
Don't you love when people tell you that? It's almost like, I'm going to show you we can, right? Yeah. No doubt. I love when people tell me, "Oh, you can't do that." Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know. So, have you ever tried it? No. Well, then don't say anything.
Right.
Well, yeah, lots of fires there,
So listen, my daughter went to school in Worcester, Massachusetts, and it was cold as a mother-in-law's heart. So winter up there, it's got to last forever. So you guys probably had a lot of problems with snow and ice and just getting around and dealing with really cold temperatures.
Yeah, there was one year, I forget the exact year it was, but there was more snow in Worcester than any other place on the planet or something. We had like 11 feet of snow that year. And then there was another night that we worked. It was Valentine's night. We had 3 multiple alarm fires. It was 16 below zero. And on the third fire, all of the trucks that had pre-pipe waterways were frozen. So we went on the third alarm, ladder 4. When I was there, we had a, build your own waterway kind of setup, put the ladder pipe on the end, run the hose. So we were the only one that could get an aerial ladder in operation. And, again, when it's that cold, it doesn't take very long. You're leaving the fire to go back to quarters, and the waterway would freeze if you didn't get all the water out of it. It's 16 below zero. Lots of fun.
That's unbelievable.
You can keep that.
Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous.
Dude, I'll take 90 degrees. Or I don't care if I'm in bunker gear or out, bro. I'll take that over the cold. I can't take the cold.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Ray, have you driven around in Worcester then?
Oh yeah, my daughter was up there for a while for school, and I did a lot of forays up there to keep my foot on the gas pedal, so to speak. Yeah. So drove around, saw all the different kinds of buildings. I mean, I was really amazed by the different types of buildings, the old mill buildings, what we call row frames. You call the
3-deckers.
3-deckers.
You got a lot of what we call like new law multiple dwellings.
Yeah,
the guys got a little bit of everything up there, and for a fire department that's really not that big. I mean, there's 180,000 people living in that town.
Yeah, and it keeps growing. It's definitely a boom town right now. But
they built that new baseball stadium in town. Right,
yeah, we stole it from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I mean, we located it away from them.
Well, what's that traffic circle there? What a clusterfuck that
Kelly
is.
Kelly Square.
Yeah, Kelly Square. What a mess.
Where is that? Is that
7 roads all come into the same point. 7 roads. It's basically like hit the pedal and go and hope for the best.
Yeah, how many times you have to use the tool over there?
Oh, yeah.
That is the Extrication Central right there.
Yeah.
So now they actually reconfigured it to make it look like a peanut or something, and I think it's worse.
Oh, the old peanut instead of the rotary.
Actually, my last trip there, I stopped at one of the new dispensaries that was right there.
Oh, and it was, what did you?
Yeah, oh yeah, the gummies. I got.
Really?
I'm gonna recommend them highly. Yeah.
What?
What?
What's going on
Who is
here?
This guy? Who is this man?
But the channel's right onto the highway. What's that? 270 right there?
290. Yep.
290. Yeah. Well, 270. Sorry, the number's stuck in my head.
290. Nope, never heard of it.
290, but Louis would have been all over that one with both feet.
Oh, he would have jumped on that.
290 engine, yeah, right.
Where we were in that convention center, was that far from where we're talking about here? Or was that just like, is that in the main part of the city? And then
no, that's probably 6 blocks from where we were.
Oh, it was because we went for a walk like to a couple of restaurants, and you walk a little further out of there, and you're looking like, holy shit, man.
Yeah, it gets a little dicey.
It gets a little dicey over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's definitely nicer than it used to be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, that's like down by the Nut House because there's a lot of the neighborhoods
gentrified. It's supposed to be turning to a big commuter location for people from Boston. I read that somewhere.
Right, exactly. So that the train goes into Boston every day, and the rents are a lot cheaper in Worcester, and housing and everything. So there's tons and tons of new rental units, old factories they're turning into apartments and everything. And
some of them look really nice. Yeah, that's some of those old mill houses, the mill buildings that they what we call lofts.
How far away from Boston are you guys over there?
About an hour drive.
Yeah. It's probably about 35, 40 miles.
Okay.
It's not that bad. It's not that far.
All right.
They got to do something with the train, though. It's a local train.
Yeah.
And every stop. And if you get on the train when there's a Red Sox game, you don't dare open your mouth because they'll know you're from New York.
Right.
So you just
have to kill you.
Yeah. All right. So you get appointed. So while you're on, though, when did you take the test? You have to take a test for Worcester? Or
yes. Statewide civil service exam.
Right.
And, I did pretty well, but I really didn't think I was going to get on. And next thing you know, right at the last minute before the test is going to expire, they're like, hey, we're going to hire 25 guys. So I always figured somebody had a hook, and I might have been in front of the hook. I don't know.
Right.
But,
There you go. They're trying to get to somebody else's name. You know what I mean?
Sudden, hey, you're getting on. I'm like, oh my God. So
hey, Paul's 2 names in front of this guy's name. Let's get them.
Yeah, whatever it takes. I don't know.
Who cares? You got in, right? And
first up, best dressed.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you got assigned to good old Engine 11. And it says, should I read what it says here? Should I say that?
Yeah, you can say it.
It says, assigned to Engine 11, disappointed.
Yeah.
I know how that feels.
Yeah. So, I mean, I figured if I do really well in drill school, they're going to look for good guys to go to the busier companies and stuff like that. And I actually had a district chief that I had befriended years before. And I didn't even tell him I was getting on the job. One day he sees me and he's like, I can't believe you're on the job. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, I'm going to try to get you in the South End down in a good company. I'm like, oh, great. I'm all set. So next thing you know, we go through drill school, and I finished number 1 on the list with my friend of mine, Eddie Seaman, who we worked together in the rescue for many years. And they're reading the names off, and LaRochelle, Engine 11. And I'm like, oh.
What? Can you say that again? That's got to be a mistake.
And then,
wait a minute, I know somebody here.
Wait a minute. I'm number 1 in the class. What happened?
Valedictorian. What happened here?
Yeah. So the deputy says, but I got to talk to you. Okay. So after the thing's done, the graduation and stuff, he says, listen, him and the district chief are going, listen, you're going to go to group 2. And I need a guy that can go up there that kind of knows what's going on, is squared away, because they got problems up there. I'm like,
oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm like, what am I supposed to say? No, I don't want to go. So, but pretty cool when the district chief says, but listen, if you don't like it up there, a spot opens up, whatever spot it is, it's yours. I said, what else could I say? Okay.
Put that in your pocket, right?
Yeah. Right.
You were saying before that's where your wife's family was from or something?
Yeah, so they were all up from that area, and they were always breaking my chops going, you're going to protect the family up in Greendale and Engine 11? And I'm like, oh God, I'm not.
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah. And, there's nothing against it. It's a real nice neighborhood and everything in there, so they don't really get the work, what I mean?
Right. How slow was it? Give me a little.
I worked the first 4 tours. We didn't have a run.
Okay. Not a single run, nothing.
No. And so
we call that a camp.
We didn't do many medicals back then.
Right.
The medicals were basically like cardiac arrest and stuff like that. But other than that, we really didn't do many.
Did you see any fire there?
I did. I saw a few fires. Matter of fact, my first fire was we had a housing project that was in our first new neighborhood. But kind of a place that was in flux, and it was kind of on the downhill flux at that time. Okay. So we get a vacant apartment, project fire. You know how those are, nice and hot. And my captain, he's trying to get the pipe from me, and I'm like, no. And I didn't say it like that. I'm like, no effing way. It's my first fire. I'm going to work.
Why is he trying to get the pipe from you?
Well, he just, I don't know. He's an aggressive guy, and that was my rule. When I was on an engine company, I had one rule: I am never giving up the pipe. Period.
From my cold dead hands.
That's it. Really, that was it. So my first encounter up there was when I went up a couple days before the shift, and I wanted to bring my gear. I knock on the door. It's early evening. The door opens. It's like a crack. Like, what do you want?
What's the password? What's the password?
Swordfish. And on Monday, I want to drop my stuff up. Hold on. Click. Lock. A couple minutes later. All right. Make it quick. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah, very well.
My first shift.
Come again when you can't stay as long.
Yeah. There's 5 guys assigned to the company. My first shift, all the other 4 guys are off on vacation. So I get the officer. Yeah, and 2 detail guys that were, anyway. But the officer from the truck came over because I had to have an officer, and he was a good guy, Mike Wilson. He helped me out, and we got through it. And then in November, new chief of department took over, Chief Bud, who was the chief at the time of the fire, cold storage fire. And I said, oh, there's going to be big changes, all this stuff that's going to happen. So I said, now's my time. So 13 had an open spot. I put in, and true to the word, they said, yep, it's all yours. Go to 13.
Now, where was 13?
Right near the ballpark, but in the south end of the city, busiest engine in the city. And I was the 5th guy on that company, too. We had jump seats, but they didn't have a seat for me. So they said, you can ride on the back, but it's really tall, and we can't tell if you fall off. Or, yes, swear to God. Or you can ride on the motor. So, of course, I wanted to be with the guy. So I sat on the motor compartment. That was my riding position. And all I had to worry about was like the pieces of steel pinching my ass. You know what I mean? From the motor.
The engine getting hot.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing, too. But in the winter, it was comfortable, But that was my riding spot. Now you got to have doors, seatbelts, buzzers, lights, Yeah,
cables. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How much work were you going to there, Paul?
Oh, a lot of work. Yeah, a lot of work. Pretty much any second alarm in the city we'd go to. And then we went to the south end where there was more work there, and we would we get a lot of work over there, too.
How big is that department? How many firehouses they have? How many? So
there used to be 13 firehouses. And then when they closed 14 engine, and there's 3 double engine houses, which is kind of bizarre.
Right.
And it was 16 engines and 7 trucks in a rescue. Now there's 13 engines, 7 in the rescue. They closed 2 other engines permanently. We had 539 guys when I started. We're at 406 now. And they're trying to boost it back up. They're going to hire probably 50 people to increase the number to like 450.
I just read that the authorized number of people that they can have is 475 people.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still the truth.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean, that's what they're probably going to try to get back to. But 406 was the number. So most of the time you ride with 3 people on the rig. With the exception of the rescue.
So what?
Is that the usual? Is that the usual manning in New England? Is 3 guys on a rig on an engine?
Yeah, yes and no. 4 is typically what you would see. I mean, they'll have 4 assigned, and then if a guy's on vacation or something like that, then they dwindle down a little bit. So
they don't fill that spot for guys on vacation.
Not currently. There's a lot of things that are in transition. They had a big study of the department, of the operation.
Yeah, Ray sent me that article. We'll get into that.
And so they're trying to make some improvements.
What do they ride with a truck company? And how many guys ride on a truck?
3.
Including the officer.
Yeah, including the officer.
Holy shit.
So the officer's working. He's got a job to do, right?
Oh, yeah, all the officers work. Yeah, they got a tool in their hand, and yeah.
What is the officer on the engine doing? Helping stretch the line?
Yeah, helps stretch the line.
Tries to steal the nozzle.
I was just going to say, I know what he's not doing. He ain't getting that nozzle, I can tell you that.
Hey,
not for Paul, anyway.
Not if he's a good Jake. If he's a good Jake, he's not going to.
Oh! Got that one in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, so when I'm on engine 13, the lieutenant, really good firefighter, says to me, I got a couple of rules. Don't do this, don't do that. I said, okay. I said, well, I have my own rule. I said, I have the pipe. Nobody gets the pipe from me. So we had an incident where they had to put an officer on the scope or the tower ladder. And so we ran without an officer, and we had a fire, and the tower got there first. So my office is down in the basement, and I come down the stairs with the line, and later he goes, I really thought I was going to get the pipe for this fire until I saw you. And I said, you even you get the pipe from me. You laid
it out to him. You gave him the rules, right? That's the rule.
Ladder guy today, no pipe.
No pipe.
I
like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I just stole my shoe.
You can watch, but that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Don't touch.
Feed me some line.
All right, so they lay off in July of '91 with 49 other guys.
Yeah,
that's a big layoff in a department of 400 guys, right?
That's a big percentage.
Yeah.
Again, we were like probably 5 and change, and 10% of the job. And what happened was they had a cost cutting measure, Proposition 2.5. It's a statewide thing, and every once in a while, the city would say, hey, we need to have an override or else we're going to have to do this and that. And they would usually get it. And so in this particular year, they were like, hey, we need an override or we're going to have to lay off 50 cops and 50 firemen. And they think that people finally said, well, show me. So they didn't get the override. So they laid us off. And I'm told that the department turned back like $600,000 that year. So
wow.
The number 2 man told me you didn't have to be laid off, but they had to follow
had to
through.
Show for the politicians had to show.
And they had to, they got called on it, so they had to do it.
So
it's kind of interesting because
when the guys got laid off in the city in the 70s, a lot of them got jobs with the MTA driving buses. Was there any accommodation for you guys, or just you were on your own?
You're on your own. And they were going to hire guys back as guys retired, so through attrition. Guys that I worked with, I'd be talking to them, and then, it's a funny thing, the pink slip, they always talk about the pink slip. It really is pink.
Really?
It really
on your locker?
I'm standing in the chief's office, and he hands me this pink piece of paper. I'm like, holy shit, it really is pink.
Look at that.
That's cold shit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
My God.
So they had never done a layoff, even in the Depression or anything else. So now they didn't really know how to do it. So, guys that I was in school with, and they were like, I called the chief and I told him, we should do it alphabetical. And another guy said, well, we should do it by our civil service mark, and we should do it this way and do it that way. I was like, you called the chief of the department? Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll call him. So I call him up. I'm like, Chief, hey, Paul LaRochelle, I don't know if you know who I am, but I think you ought to do this layoff. First of all, I'll tell you that I finished tops in my class, that you should do it by class rank, because it's about time you get something for doing something good.
There you go.
Like I said, right up front, I'm the, me and another kid, Eddie Seen, the top dog, but that's the way you should do it. And he goes, well, I'll take it under advisement. And that's what they did. That's what they did. And it's that way ever since. So when a kid starts in drill school, day one, you tell them, look, everything from this day forward is going to revolve around your rank in this class. If 2 guys get promoted on the same day, the guy that finished higher in the class, he gets the pick of the company or whatever.
Oh, man. So merit actually matters then. Hard work actually pays off. That's refreshing.
Would you believe that?
That's great stuff, man.
And they're still that way. And there were more than our classes laid off. I think there were 2 other layoffs.
Wow. But you were only laid off for what, 2 months, it says?
Yeah, 2 months. It was horrible. Like, I can't believe it.
Man.
You had a family at that time?
Yeah,
You had a family?
I had 2 children. My wife's a nurse, and she worked, and I, if you can call it babysitting, I guess.
You were Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom. Yeah.
One of my best friends, Jason, he was laid off from Southbridge. They laid off 9 guys at the time, and we babysat, if I guess you could call it that. But we watched the children. And
all right.
So yeah, we did the best we could, but and then I got hired back, and they said when the layoff happened, they said you're going to go back to your company, no matter what. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, so I'm going back to engine 13, right? No, you're going to engine 3.
Where are they?
Well, they're at headquarters.
They do any work there or no?
They get some work, but 16 that's in the same firehouse with them gets more work. But I was only going there for 1 day. Because then I was going to go to engine 9. So it was actually 1 night tour. Then I was going to go to engine 9, and we opened the firehouse that had been closed for the summer. So engine 9 and engine 7 were closed for the summer.
And 14 they closed permanently.
Right. So engine 9 was in the highest rent district, and engine 7 was in the biggest geographical area. And I got to give the chief some credit, I guess, by saying he had some set to say, you know what, you're going to make me close companies. This is what I'm closing. So,
good for him.
Yeah. Huh. So we opened engine 9. They hadn't had a fire for 2 months, and we had like 3 first due jobs that week.
Oh, wow.
They just waited for the doors to be open.
You mentioned you did a night tour, right? I know that you do a platoon system sort of close to like the FDNY did. What did you guys do? What were your tours?
So we had 2 days, then you'd be off for 48 hours. Then you come in and do 2 night tours. You'd be off for 72 hours. And then eventually we got to 24s, probably half a dozen years ago. But so I happened to come back on September 1st. That happened to be the second night tour for Group 3. And that's when I went into Engine 3 and I said, hey, I'm here from the layoff. Yeah, you're getting shipped out. You're going to Central Street. So I got detailed my first tour back.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it worked out because I went down to Central. They put me on the rescue. Met some of the guys that I didn't know. The captain kind of liked what was going on. And I was an EMT at the time, and he really wanted to have EMTs because we did all the medicals downtown at the time. And, good word was put in, and he said, hey, you want to come to the rescue? I'm like, yes, I do.
Wow.
So
that was great.
Yeah.
Really good, So yeah,
what is the rescue ride with now?
So they ride with an officer and 6.
Wow.
Oh,
like a lot of people. That's
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So it's a manpower intensive company, and it always worked out with these 3-decker fires where we had most of our work. You could put a team of 2 in each floor right away to do a search. And then after the search was done, you'd go to work, whatever, pulling ceilings, lines, etc.
So I got to ask.
Where did the boss go? Go ahead, Pete.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead, Ray.
I was going to ask, where does the boss go at a 3-decker fire when he deploys his guys? Where's the boss going?
He goes wherever he wants to go.
That's like to the line, to the fire floor.
You know what that's like? That's like the squad chauffeur, bro. I go wherever I think I'm needed, bro.
That was the best job in the world, the squad chauffeur.
So the officer is partnered up with the driver's partner. So we all had partners that we worked with all the time. And then whenever the driver's partner would be the officer's partner, unless there was overtime guys and stuff like that, detail guys. And then he would go wherever he wanted.
That's not a bad thing. Where does Jake go?
Hey! So
he's first doing your old lady's box.
Oh, you were holding that one, weren't you, bro?
Yeah, you threw it up for me, brother.
Like everybody says.
So I have to ask: is this one of these 3-decker fires? Because this right here was sent to us by your daughter.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what that is.
Yeah. So that's the top floor of a 3-decker.
There you go.
That's going pretty well.
Yeah, and I'm actually the guy you can see through the spindles there.
Where? Where is that? Pete, make that bigger. Oh shit! There you go.
Yeah, and Jerry Matthew was a guy that was in front of me, and our line burned through, so we ended up with a smooth bore, but the tip was only like 5/8 or something. So we were putting about 70 gallons a minute on it, but we knocked it all down. We got it done.
And you were in what? You were in the rescue here?
No, actually, that was in Southbridge, but that's typical fire that you would have had.
Oh, that's Southbridge, in a tree decker.
Yeah, you would have had that in Worcester, same thing.
So you had a couple of Jakes in a tree decker.
Jake.
Oh, I said it again. I didn't even need to say it.
Easy.
What are the pictures we got, Pete? We got some of when he was in the rescue, right?
Well, we got another one here.
Whoa!
Would you have gasoline in the booster tank? Holy shit!
So that was pretty intense. That was the fire in Southbridge. That was 6 days after the big factory fire, and the building in the top left, that was the one that had a fire previously,
right?
And that collapsed moments after we got on scene, as you could see. And then the one next to it, that one was rocking and rolling. And then of course, right away, somebody screaming, "There's a kid trapped upstairs." So now that, we grabbed the big line and we're pushing it up the stairs, and, and then finally it was like, no, nobody get down. Right. We're all going to die up here if we don't get down. So
good stop.
How many blocks did that go?
Nope, that's it.
Right there.
I was in 2 buildings. We got there, and that's all it burned.
That's a lot of fire there, my friend.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Hey,
I can't say I've ever seen a building burning like that.
I've never seen a building collapse like that, bro. It just opened up like a.
Yeah. I never have either. I never saw anything like that before.
Wow.
when that fell out into the street, it burnt the windows into the asphalt. So like you could drive down the street for years and still you see the outline of the back of that building on the street.
Really? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, swear to God. So,
that's fantastic. Petey, you got more in there?
I'm looking.
Fire is fascinating.
Later ones here. We'll hold on to that. I mean, do we want to go through some of the ones that your daughter didn't send us? Like,
sure.
You want to do maybe like the John Street?
Sure.
Okay, hold on a sec here.
Now, you were a fireman and rescue, right?
Yes.
Right.
I was getting to be one of the more senior guys. So we had already done a search of this building. It was a big 2.5-story frame. Fire was in the mostly in the attic space, and it's a kind of funny one because you never really think about the vapor barrier in your gear and how important it is. So prior to this picture, this is after like they pulled us out and stuff. I was with Jimmy Andrews. We went up into the attic, and I told him to stay at the bottom of the stairs. I was going to take a peek. When I got up in the attic, something really dramatic happened and kind of rolled over. And at some point, I ripped a liner in my bunker pants. So I come down the stairs, and all I could keep saying was, "My balls are on fire. My balls are on fire." Because the steam and everything like that, the vapor barrier makes a huge difference. So I had torn a big hole in it, and when I got outside, Lieutenant Duffy from Engine 16, he's sitting on the rig, and he looks absolutely terrible, And he's telling me, "Hey, come here." And I say, "I just got to go kill the utilities." He's like, "No, come here." I'm like, "What's up?" And he goes, "John, his one of his guys goes, John says, when you were in the attic, the fire came out every window up there." And I go, "Well, I kind of believe it, And I said, "I'll talk to you about it after." I go down to kill the utilities. I come back. He's gone to the hospital. He was having a heart attack while he was talking.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, geez.
He survived, I hope, right?
He did. And he came back to work.
Wow.
And then subsequently.
Back after a heart attack? They let him come back?
I tell you, so many states have so many different rules.
Yeah, man.
That I think New York actually has the most stringent rules and protects guys the best. But I hear about guys in California having heart attacks, valve replacements, stents, and they go back to work. No big deal. You're set now.
And one of the best engine officers I ever worked with, and he's on vacation, laying on the beach, and he has the big one right there on the beach. That's it.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Again?
Yep, that's it.
Holy shit!
He died right on the beach.
How old?
It's probably 60-ish.
That's too young.
Too young.
Is this the same job?
Yeah, same job. This day it was about 96 degrees. It was
just about that. Look at the burns on your coat. Look how your coat is coloring.
Its coat turned orange.
I was up in that attic and it got dicey up there, But
hey, just a quick thing. A lot of these pictures came from Paul Shea, who's also in the chat right now.
Yep.
And is this John Street as well right here?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So these are the ones that weren't labeled. Yes, Paul.
Yeah. So we ran a big line up the aerial ladder and worked on the attic for a while. And
did you stretch a line into the building off the aerial?
Great shot. Paul.
No, not initially. The lines went right up the stairs. When whatever happened in the attic took place, the fire actually came down the rear second floor stairwell. And a friend of mine got his hands burnt. He didn't have his gloves on yet because there was really no fire up there, but it just took off, came right down.
Holy shit. Yeah, man. Down. What did it have? 2 sets of stairs, like an old Queen Anne or something? Like it
had a back staircase and then an interior staircase in the front.
Right. I tell you, those 3 decades, they remind me of a combination of Queen Anne's and our row frames.
Right.
Balloon frame, expansive buildings, different stairwells. Then they have the exterior fire escapes that are made out of wood. It's a lumberyard waiting for a fire.
Yeah. A lumberyard with voids for it to travel up and down, right?
You know what happens, LT, when I see this kind of fire, right?
Wow, Pete runs for the hills.
There's a fire in my pants because I have running the fuck away from this shit as fast as humanly possible.
Listen, did you not learn your lesson about the fire in your pants already? Could you stop?
I'm talking about a fire. Why can't I say this is my show and your show.
Oh,
and Lou's show.
Mine.
Yes.
But yes, I get a fire in my pants, and then I run away.
So we probably should get up to the cold storage fire.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be quite a bit to talk about there.
All right, you take it away, man. You set it up and you talk about that.
All right. So I'm only going to talk about stuff that I was directly involved in. I wasn't working that night,
right?
But I had been working at a firefighter's house doing some carpentry. I came home. My wife said, "Hey, a box just went out for the cold storage on Franklin Street," and I was like, "I don't like that place."
Were you guys familiar with this building?
Well, I was. I had never been in it, but I knew the building. Very few windows, and
it was there forever, right? It was built like in 1905 or something like that.
Yeah, it was there forever. So the building was like 95 feet tall, took up a whole city block, and so when they struck the second alarm, the kid that kind of gave the report to the chief, solid guy, said, "Oh yeah, they got good fire." So I said, "I'm gonna go take some pictures because I always spark these fires." And when I was on 290 or 271 or whatever you want to call it there, Ray, I could see that the fire looked like it was coming through maybe like a big stack on the roof or an elevator shaft or something like that because I was in an elevated position,
Yeah, the highway was elevated there.
Yeah. So when I got on scene, I just walked around. There was really nothing to do. There were no pictures to be taken because the building had very few windows, and the ones that did have were all boarded up. The guys were doing their thing. And, it was a spark. Another Sparky there showed up with a camera, and he goes, "No pictures." And I go, "Yeah, I know."
So wait, that term Sparky, we call them buffs.
Buffs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like Sparky better.
I like Sparky better. I think that's not as derogatory as buff.
Yeah.
So, I said, "Jesus, it's a dangerous building." I hate to think that I said this, but I said, we could lose guys in a building like this tonight. And so things were progressing. And, a friend of mine and the project that we're going to launch later on kind of comes partly from this is he told me one time, and we only talked about it once. He came out of the building before the Mayday and everything, and he was low on air. And I don't usually get involved at a fire when I'm buffing. I just kind of do my thing, and he's going to change his takeout, so he's going to take it off his back. And I go, "Hey, Steve, I got it. Let me get a cylinder." I reach in, grab a cylinder, throw in his pack, and the last thing I do is I turn it on. So I look at the number, and I'm like, "Christ, it's like 3,900, And I'm like, let me see. And I look, and there's a brand new like 4,500 one in there or 4,400. I'm like, "Let me swap it out." He goes, "No, I'll be all right." I'm like, no, let me swap it. So I swap it out. And later on, years later, he tells me, when I got out of the building after it went to shit, I basically had no air left. He said, "If you didn't change that cylinder,
wow,
I'd be dead."
Jeez.
And we only spoke
that's scary stuff.
It is. And, Steve passed away not too long ago. And, stories that these guys have, we need to capture. So then the Mayday.
The good things about them, you got to save.
Everything. Lessons. So the Mayday happens, and I hear it, and I'm looking at the IC, and he didn't hear it. So I'm like,
who gives the Mayday, Paul? Set it up a little for guys who don't know.
It was either Paul Brotherton or Jerry Lucy. So Jerry was my partner, but he was working a mutual, and I didn't even know he was there. So as it turns out, he was supposed to work for a guy on Engine 1. And it was a guy that was working on the rescue from Engine 1. So when they got into work, they said, "Hey, why don't you just work on your company? I'll work on my company." So they just kind of did a little horizontal swap thing.
Right.
So he's working on the rescue. I don't even know. So it's Paul Brotherton, Jerry Lucy. So it's Paul and Jerry. So the Mayday comes in again. Now I start making a move towards the chief, and then he hears it. So then, he starts communicating, and then they start trying to send people in to help them, and, escalating alarms. And, at some point, the guys are like, "You got to get up here and get us. We're going to die up here. We're both breathing off the same mask." And they kept saying they were 2 floors below the roof. Now, nobody really knew how many floors were in that building. And what happened is when they got there, somebody told them the fire was on the roof. So they went to the roof by aerial ladder. And then while they're on the roof, somebody calls and says, hey, there's a report of 2 homeless people in the building. So they start down the interior stairs, and that's how they're saying they're 2 floors below the roof. So you can't tell if they're on the 4th floor, the 5th floor.
Didn't the fire originally start on the 2nd floor?
Yes. And I think it got into the elevator shaft right away, and then it was able to balloon out on the upper floors,
So these are 2 guys from the rescue get put up on the roof. They get a report of a homeless guy.
Yeah,
so they
2 homeless people who set the fire, actually.
So they go down from the roof through the interior, 2 floors below the roof.
Right.
And what happens? They get
well,
lost.
So this is a big building. Visibility, by all accounts, was pretty good. And then all of a sudden, it just went lights out, like pitch black, like guys talking about, very experienced guys going, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never experienced anything like this. The fire just, I mean, when you say you can't see your hand in front of your face, this was like the real deal. It was just black, no ventilation virtually. And the only way to know how far down they were was to actually get all the way to the top and then come down 2 floors, and you just couldn't get up there. So guys were trying. They sent multiple companies in. Ladder 2 went in, tried to get a search going, and
Ladder 2 went from the street level now, right? So,
so it really was just like hoping for the best, hoping to hear the pass alarm. So
the original 2 guys were guys from the rescue who gave the Mayday, right?
Yeah,
they were cheating off each other. 1 mask, I guess.
Yeah, at that point,
running out of air.
Yeah.
So who goes in to look for him now? Because they lose 6.
A bunch of companies go. Ladder 2 is one of the companies assigned to go get him. So it's Tommy Spencer and Paul Jackson. Timmy Jackson, sorry. And the chauffeur is throwing the stick, and they go in, and there's a couple of things that they are heard to say over the radio, but then basically they never hear from them again.
2 guys from Ladder 2.
Yep. And then
they were on the 5th floor also.
And then
now the 5th floor, Ray, when you say that, is that the floor that the guys from the rescue are on, or we don't know? They didn't know that yet.
I read it and now I forget.
Where Paul? Where was what floor were the guys from rescue actually on?
I think it was the 5th or 6th.
Okay, so the guys from Ladder 2 get up to the 5th floor, and you don't hear from them again.
They don't hear. A couple things are said on the radio, but then they don't hear from them again. And then 2 guys from Engine 3, the officer and another guy from Engine 3, go to work, and then the other 2 guys was the chauffeur and the hydrant guy. So he said, wait for the chauffeur and you meet up with us. So the
rescue guys were on the 5th floor also.
Yeah. So they get dressed, they come in, they start searching, and whatever happens, something catastrophic, and they're never heard from again. And now we have 6 guys missing. At some point before it's 6 guys, I find out that Jerry's one of the guys, and I'm just like in shock, like, holy shit. So now we're at like 5 alarms, which is a general callback for every group. So everybody comes back to work. And then at a point, Mike McNamee, the district chief, says, we're not going to lose anybody else. We're pulling the plug on this thing. And I mean, that had to be a tremendous.
That had to be the hardest decision that guy ever made in his life.
I don't know how he ever slept a night in his life.
Well, I think he can sleep because we probably would have lost 10 guys.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
12 guys that night. Because there's, again, a lot of stories that most people don't know of guys that had extremely close calls. A couple friends of mine were in one of these big refrigerator. This was a cold storage. So there's big refrigerated rooms with these little doors, like they had like these weird little handles and stuff that weren't easy to navigate. And, they were in this room and they're like, we're going to die in here. And,
as I'm looking, all the fatalities were on the 5th floor.
And somebody opens the door and it's like, anybody in here? And it's like, oh my God, thank God. And they get out. You know,
Right.
Another guy was in the stairwell with a Halligan banging on the steel railing. And guys followed that sound and got out.
This could have been a lot worse than.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it was a probie and a senior officer met up in the stairway. They didn't know who each other were, and they had an argument about which way to go. And the probie was actually able to convince the officer, this is the way you have to go. And they went that way and they got out.
Holy shit.
Had it been the other way, they wouldn't have gotten out. So when he pulled the plug, it was the right thing to do. You know, and again, it's a hard thing to do, but it was the right thing to do. And you know, we physically had to take a guy out of the staircase because his buddies were up there dying, you know, and he didn't want to let him go. And that's, you know, it's you know, rightfully so. So
yeah.
So then at that point, I'm like, listen, I want to go to Jerry's house to tell Michelle, you know, what's going on. So my old captain is now a district chief, and he goes, okay, when it's time to go, I'll make sure you go. I'm like, all right, I got to go. So then time is ticking along, and now it's getting time for the news, you know, and I'm like, we got to go. We got to get there before the news finds out about this. And so it was myself and this Chief Chavor, and then there were two other district chiefs in another car. And we were, initially, I thought we were just going to Michelle's house. But turns out they said, you're going to go notify 3 families. We're going to notify 3 families. And then we're going to have the police help us. They were going to transport all the families to a church where the chief of the department and the chaplain and all this other stuff. Now, we didn't really know how to do this. I mean, we hadn't had a line of duty death in like almost 30 years. And
Paul, I mean, as you're approaching the house, like, what are you saying to yourself? What words could you possibly say? Like,
you know, I've often said that I couldn't get there fast enough, but I couldn't get there slow enough either. Because now there's a few other things in the background that are happening. First of all, my older brother, he's doing a DJ thing at a dance. And when he gets home, there's like 8 messages on his answering machine. He looks at it and goes, what the hell is this? But the first message is, hey, this is so-and-so. I'm at this big fire in Worcester. There's 2 guys missing, and your brother's one of the guys missing. And he's like, holy shit, you know. Next message, boop, hey, this is cousin Roland. I'm at the fire. Paul's one of the guys missing because it's Paul and Jerry.
Right.
And they're associating it as me. So in the meantime, you know, Michelle calls my house, and my wife now knows who it is because I had to get a phone number for another guy. And I said, don't tell anybody until we notify him. So, you know, Michelle had said, you know, is it Jerry? You know, is he one of the guys? And my wife was like, well, if the chief car goes to your house, then I guess you'll kind of know it's one of you. You know, so we make a plan. We take off. We get there, and as soon as the car pulls up, you know, her brother's screaming like, "Oh no, oh no," all this stuff. So you know, I tell her what's going on. The plan was for the chief to use the phone to talk to the police for the next house, which was also in Leicester where Jerry lived. And the phone wouldn't work. It was weird. Like the phone was dead. So anyway, we make arrangements for their transportation, and then we're going to go now to Linda McGuirk's house, Joe McGuirk's house. So we go over there, and as bad as you think Jerry's notification was, this next one was worse. Because when we walked up to the door and the door opened and she looked at us and we had our bunker pants on and stuff, and she was just like, what are they? And then you could just see like the blood just drain out of her face. And she knew bad things were about to happen, you know. And, you know, we're little kids and very, very upsetting and everything else. So we were able to get that done. And now we have to go to Paul Brotherton's house. Now he lives in Auburn. I live in Auburn. And, you know, we're flying there in this old Chiefs car. And the 10 o'clock news says all of the families have been notified. So Denise actually walks out of the house. There's a little party going on at her house. And she goes, they just said on the news, everybody's notified. It's not us. We're okay. And then caught Mike come over the hill in the car.
Oh shit!
Just like 2 minutes too late,
Yep.
So we end up delivering the news. We take Denise to the church, and then we meet up with the other two chiefs, and they said, "Hey, we were only able to find two of the families. We couldn't find Mary Jackson." And it's like, you gotta be shitting me. So we said, "All right, well, we gotta find her." So we were able to track her down, and myself and Chief Chavor, we blasted out to their house, and we went and saw her, and we told her. We picked her up, and we brought her back to the church. So we ended up going to 4 of the houses that night, And so people say, "How did you do that?" And I said, "Well, it had to be done. That's the bottom line. It just had to be done."
Yep.
And, I mean, certainly in hindsight, there would have been better ways to do it. But we didn't have a plan. We didn't know. So
what is that? I mean, what's the better way to do it?
Well, I mean, if you had,
there is no better way to do that, Paul.
Maybe more, chaplains or separate vehicles. And
listen, you wanted to do it before the news got out there, man. So I mean,
so So anyway, we go back to the fire, and I'm thinking at some point we're going back in this building. So on the rescue, we had 3 1-hour bottles. So I grabbed 3 packs, 3 1-hour bottles, told my friend Steve Raffa, not with us anymore, rest in soul. And I got Joe Blanchard, a real solid lieutenant. I said, "Hey, we're going to be ready when they want to go back in. We'll go back in." So next thing you know, a couple hours later, they call staging, say, "Hey, we need a couple guys and an officer. We're going to send a recon mission." And boom, right? We go right to the front of the line. The chief says, "All right, I'm going to send you guys in, see what you can find, see what, and I mean, we're just going to go in and they'll be like, 'Hey, we're over here,' I mean, It's like, okay, I'm in. I'm like, this is probably the last thing I'm going to do on this earth, but I'm in. And I looked at the other 2 guys and said, I probably shouldn't have got you in on this, but we're going. And then at the last minute, they said, "Hey, there's big cracks in the building, the walls. We're not going to send anybody else." So we didn't go. But the walls were like 16 inches thick. Those cracks had been there for 50 years. So in hindsight, probably a good thing. But we're going to go. I mean, this is our guys. So we're going.
The heart-rending process. I read that it took a long time to get everybody removed.
It took us a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So some of the things that I've often wondered about, stories that I'd heard, and that's again part of this project that we'll talk about later, was, supposedly a chief's car from New York City came up. It was maybe Saturday or Sunday, and said, "Hey, we can help. I'll bring up all the resources in the New York Fire Department's arsenal. Whatever we can do to help will help." And at the time, they kind of thought, "Well, I think we can handle this," So it didn't happen. And then I'm told that the chief said, "Okay, well, how many companies do you have?" And we said, "Well, we have 15 engines, 7 ladders, a rescue." And he said, "All right, New York City will bring up 15 engines, 7 ladders, a rescue, and command staff, and we'll occupy your stations for as long as you need us to." And again, they kind of was like, we'll be okay. We'll get through this. So they didn't do it. Ultimately, they ended up with this whole task force thing where probably every fire department in the state occupied one of our firehouses at some point, because it was 2 weeks we were out of business, Worcester Fire Department.
Wow.
2 weeks, the state.
How long did it take to put the fire out, Paul?
So it was a couple of days. And actually, it's a little weird because the fire, the last flame did not go out until we removed Paul Brotherton. There was this one stupid little flame up in the corner that just would not go out. And as soon as they got his body down, that fire went out. It was the weirdest.
Wow. And where were they in proximity to each other, or they never made it close to each other? It's such a big building.
All of the guys? No, they were all in different locations. And it was strange. Like the whole thing, you'd go there one day and the whole incident would be one size, and the next day you go back and it'd be bigger and bigger, and it was just crazy. And
so how long did it took them how long did it take to get the last guy out? What
the fire started on Friday, and I believe Paul Jackson's funeral was on Saturday, and I think that was the last. We got the last guy out. They found Jerry and Paul the same day. So the first two that were in were the last two that they got out.
The first two were in were the last two they got out. So the two guys from rescue were the last two they got out.
Yeah. They found Jerry first, and then they found Paul later on.
Oh, they weren't together?
Well, there was so much debris in this building.
Right.
That, it was multiple feet of debris. We called it the deck. You guys called it ground zero. We called it the deck. I mean, we had bobcats up there moving ash and timbers and beams and miles of ammonia pipe because it was a cold storage facility.
Right.
I wasn't supposed to be going there because at some point on, I think it was Saturday, they said, hey, well, first of all, when I showed up, they said, go down over to Arctic Street and meet your company. So I went over there and I said, what's up? And they said, you and Al Yako, who was my senior guy, you're going to rappel out of ladder 2's bucket 95 feet up into the building and you're going to start a search. I'm just like, okay. This is going to be it. So, if Al says we're going, then we're going, So I'm in a harness and everything. And I'm like, Jesus, how the hell are we going to get out? And they said, hey, you're not doing that anymore. You got to go over to this tent over here. So I go over and they're like, you're going to be a family liaison. And I'm like, what is that? I'm like, well, you're going to be everything to do with the Lucy family, whatever they need. Okay.
Yeah, we learned what that is quick, right, Ray? We had the family liaisons. Yep.
So I went on that. And then the next thing you know, somebody shows up and they go, hey, we're from the CISM team. And does anybody want to talk to somebody? And because of that fire that I had many years before, I said, I do. And I went in the room with this guy, Spike Lawless from Cambridge, a poor guy. And I just flipped out, just out of my mind. Because we had a fire the year before. And we almost lost two guys from my group. And as a matter of fact, Jerry, Lucy, and we put up a ground ladder, took out a window. They heard the glass breaking and came to the window. And one of the guys was virtually out of air. And we got him out. And this is we didn't have a RIT team or any of that stuff. It was just a weird thing that we just did. And there were lessons should have been learned from this. And basically, it was just like a big sigh of relief and nothing got better. So when they said, anybody got anything to say? I went in that room and I went crazy because in my opinion, this didn't have to happen, but it did. So while I was doing that, Al Whitehead flew in the helicopter. He was the IAFF president at the time. Anyway, I got rid of a lot of garbage that night because I knew better. You can't keep this stuff in. You got to down.
You had good guys to talk to that knew the deal, that knew to shut up and listen.
So ironically, this state CISM team is having a meeting to kind of kick this all off the night of the cold storage fire. We didn't have a state team. This was all in the incipient stages, and they were having their meeting to finally get this thing going. And all of a sudden, holy shit, we got to go to Worcester. So they were working from the beginning as well. We didn't know. Nobody knew what a family liaison was supposed to do.
Right.
We just, they said later, you guys wrote the book on this. And it's okay. And, it is what it is. But
now, moving forward, there's a lot of the guys that we lost that night. Their sons are on the job, right?
Yeah. So Jerry, my partner, his oldest son, Jerry, is on the job.
That's Jeremiah Lucy, right?
Yeah. The third.
And he's in Rescue 1, right?
He is. And
he's in Rescue 1 too. That's great.
And he had a near miss the night that Chris Roy died.
That wasn't too long ago. Chris Roy was a lieutenant that just died recently, right?
No, he was. Chris was a firefighter that had died the year before Jay Menard died. So I've had 10 guys line of duty deaths that I knew worked with,
and that's all since 1999, right?
Yeah. Well, I had one in Southbridge in 1984. A guy named Mike Blanchard. He died on a medical call. He was doing CPR on somebody when he went into cardiac arrest himself. Which is,
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was only 49.
It seems to me that you carry a lot of weight with you, Lieutenant LaRochelle. Like, it seems like obviously you mourn your brothers, but this is carried with you from the beginning all the way to now, because you, as much of a fun-loving guy you probably are, you still have that with you, don't you? Because to me, it seems like it made the biggest impact on your career, the losses that you experienced from that very first one you told us about.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm after all the events that happened, I said, gee, how can I get back? 30,000 firefighters supposedly, that's the number, came to our memorial service. So I got into training. I started training, and I've been doing it ever since. And I find that very rewarding. It's a good outlet for me. It's a way to pay back. It's a way to take this emotional energy and hopefully not have anybody experience what we've experienced. And again, I'm only talking about myself. There's 400 other guys out there that got the hell beat out of them doing this. And in the last few years, we lost John Davies in the collapse on Arlington Street. And then, we lost Chris on Lowell Street. And then we lost Jay over on Stockholm Street. And, God forbid we have any more. But we for a long time, we had a really big horseshoe up on the shelf, and it fell off in a big way, and we really have been taking a beating.
You remind me of one of our favorite senior guys, Bobby Gallione.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You have that experience and the natural ability to stay calm in bad things. But back to the guys still on the job. But Paul Brotherton, he has 5 of his 6 sons are on the job, right?
5 of them, yeah.
5 of his 6 sons, holy
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Tommy Spencer has Danny, his youngest son, his oldest son. I'm not sure what he does, and then his daughter was like a genius. So for her to get on the fire department with him, such a waste. I mean. She's just, she's probably like curing cancer or something. I mean, she's just really, really sweet, really smart.
I think it's amazing that 2 of the sons actually work at the site of the fire at the new Franklin Street fire station.
Well, that's the other thing, is that they didn't know what to do with the site, and it probably would have turned into a trucking terminal because all the trains are there and stuff. And then the city actually said, hey, we're going to build a firehouse there. Not that we necessarily needed a firehouse there, but they made some consolidations and things, and it's now forever in our.
Wow, that's great.
I think I read that was actually the recommendation of one of the sons.
Yeah,
to memorialize.
I commend the city on that, bro. That's a great idea, man. Really,
and there's a really nice monument in front of the station. I stopped by and I saw it. I sent Pete the picture of it before.
So what company is that? What company is that?
So it's Engine 6, because they closed their firehouse, which is really old, and they moved them down to Franklin Street. Engine 12 was on top of Providence Street in a really old firehouse. I'm talking like 100 plus years old. And they moved them down there. So 2 engines. Ladder 1 was at Central Street with the rescue. And at some point, they get the bright idea to sell the firehouse on Central Street. And somebody bought it and put up a hotel. So they kicked us out. They said, go away. So we ran out of a south end station for the longest time. And for us to get to the north end, it was almost like, it's like, yeah, we'll be there in some time.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Paula. So the rescue turns out on every working fire there, right? In Worcester?
Every box for a structure fire. And then all the other things, elevators, gas calls. So all the kind of cool stuff, yeah, they get to go to every fire. And it wasn't uncommon to have a couple of fires in the night. I mean, it wasn't every week, but it wasn't out of the question.
Right.
The 4th of July used to be very busy for us, the 3rd and the 4th.
Yeah.
This would be a great night to work.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great night to work.
The city used to, people in the city would take all their trash and put it in the street and light it on fire. So they would wait all year, and they'd put out their, tires, couches, the whole neighborhood would put out their stuff. So we'd go to these bonfires all night long, and there'd be hundreds of them. And it was so busy that the city, between the hours of 9 o'clock and generally till 1 a.m., would put an extra 100 guys on duty. And we would put fire hose on everything we could possibly put hose on. Pickup trucks, ladder trucks, rescue companies, everything had fire hose on it. And it wasn't unheard of for a pickup truck with 3 or 4 guys to roll into a vacant building going. And 93 was the last big year for fires. And I went to 9 jobs that night.
Wow.
And it was unbelievably wonderful.
Nothing says Independence Day like burning tires, right?
Yeah. Well, some of these guys are really, really smart. What they would do is they'd put tires on top of the hydrants and light them on fire. So
great guys. Excellent.
And
some
of these guys actually got on the job later on in life. Go figure.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Paul, what happened to the 2 homeless guys who started the fire? Did they ever find those guys? Did they catch
Yes,
them?
It was a couple, right?
Yes, it was a woman and a guy, and
Thomas Levesque and Julie Ann Barnes.
Yeah, and they tried to get them for murder and all this other stuff, and essentially the law didn't
cover it.
Doesn't get there because of the fact that it wasn't on purpose. They were having a fight. Somebody knocked over a candle. That's what started the fire, but they never called it in.
So the fire burned over an hour before a passing cop saw it.
Yeah.
And he said, and he called it in and he said, this is going to be a multiple alarm fire.
Wow.
So that couple actually got probation.
Yeah.
Because the law didn't address what they did for not notifying the fire department of the fire.
It's my understanding that somebody actually, I think they adopted Julie and kind of straightened her out. But I hope,
Yeah, I hope. So then you go get promoted.
Yeah. I go back to Engine 11.
Isn't it amazing how life is like a circle, right, Pete? Life is like a circle.
Like a big circle.
Like a big circle.
So the interesting thing about that is before I go up there, I actually opt to teach at the Proby School. So I spend some time at Proby School. And when I go up there, my company is made up of 3 of the Probies from that class and another guy who's got probably a year. And one of the guys that's in my Proby class is Jerry Lucy's son. They send him up there. And District Chief's son is one of the guys too. So I kind of felt pretty honored that the chief thought enough of me to say, hey, I'm going to send my son up there and you take care of him.
Yeah.
And it was, it was fun because these guys, they were all full of ambition, even though they didn't necessarily really know what was going on. And then the senior guy, who, like I said, had maybe a year more than them, he transferred to a busier company. And so now I had the 3 Stooges with me, as I like to call them. And the senior guy, Pat, he finished higher in the class, so he was the senior guy. And, I used to tell him stories about this guy, Leo Gauthier, great Jake, all right? That's right.
Jake,
Hey!
And I would say, Leo would come in at engine 4, and if the back of the hose bed didn't look right, he'd start taking hose off and make it nice, we got to be able to lay out right and everything. So they take this in, So one night we get a run about midnight. I come downstairs and this hose laying all over the apparatus floor. And I'm like, what are you doing? Well, we didn't like the way the hose was. So we're, fixing it. I'm like, all right, as long as you don't fix it all at the same time, we're okay. So, but they were great. We had another call one night. It was a maternity call. And I said to them, I said, I had a dream last night that we delivered a baby. And an hour later, we're going to Great Brook Valley for a woman in labor. And they're like, oh, my God. So it was one of those calls where I'm like, usually I don't take a peek, but I'm like, this sounds like the real deal. So I said, all right, I can take a look. So I said to the lady, I'm going to have to look and see if the head's showing right. Then, so as I'm looking, I'm like, a lot of hair, no head. Okay. And, I turn around and the 3 Stooges are over my shoulder, like Mo, Larry, and Curly looking, and the OB kit exploded in the kitchen. And I'm like, oh, yeah, don't open that stuff up unless I tell you. But it was great working with those guys. They were a lot of fun. And then they moved on to busier companies.
Then you transferred to Ladder 4.
Yeah, special ops company. I had my eyes set to get back to the rescue. So I said, if I make myself part of the special ops, maybe they'll
What is ladder 4? Like a backup to the
so
support?
they have the special ops, so they're almost like what a squad in New York would be, where they have jaws and stuff, but there's a special operations truck that runs out of that firehouse too. So Engine 5 and Ladder 4 are special ops companies, and that way, there, if the rescue tied up at a fire, these other guys can bring the technical rescue stuff to an incident.
So I read that Jeremiah Lucy was a member of the hazmat team. How does that respond?
Yeah, and so was I. Again, we were like bookends. Whatever he was doing, I was doing, and this guy John Bowden, kind of a gruff guy, nice guy, but one of those guys that you couldn't tell from the outside. He says to us one day, because we both work at the fire academy at the time, he goes, "Hey, I'm getting you and Lucy on the hazmat team." I'm like, "Well, what does that mean?" He goes, "Don't worry about it." I'm like, "Okay."
That's when you worry.
Yeah, we famous last words.
On the state hazmat team, and did that too. So that was fun. Extra training and some extra dough. Yeah.
Do they have a dedicated hazmat unit company there, or is it?
No, pretty much the state covers everything. So there's regional teams in each part of the state, and it's actually a very good system. If you need them, you call them, and there's 40 guys on each, or 40 firefighters on each team, and whatever is the closest group, and it's all a tiered system. So you only get what you want. You don't get 40 guys unless you need 40 guys, kind of thing, and tons of equipment, lots of money thrown at it. So
nice.
It works out. It works out really well. So.
So that was your foot in the door, ladder 4, and then you said you go back to the training division.
Yeah, well, I'm at ladder 4. My son passes away, and
oh my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they come and notify me I'm working. They actually came to my house and they wanted to talk to me. My wife said he's at work. What's this about? When the police show up, it's not good. And they come down to the firehouse and they tell me that my son has passed away. He lives in Chicago. And so now I know what it's like to be on both sides of the door, and neither one of them's any good. Trust me.
I was going to say, man, you've had your share of hardship.
Yeah. So my career has been like a collision with everything, and my wife, I got to give her kudos because she stuck with me the whole time. And she's been through it too, and my daughter. And so another bad event happened after that while I was working, and I said, I got to get the hell out of this firehouse. So that's when I said, I can't work here anymore. I gotta go down to training. So I went down there a few years, and spot opened up at the rescue. Tried to, again, it was kind of it had changed. The way that they put people in the rescue changed from, we're just going to pick you, to credentials, to seniority. There was one chief that would pick people, and I swear if you said, I want Joe, he'd say perfect, and Frank's getting the spot. And if you said Frank, he'd give you Joe. It was crazy. So they finally came up with the credential thing again, and I was able to get back there because of my time on the career and all that stuff. So I worked in Group 4. I had great guys. They loved to train, and I just really wanted to go back before I left to be able to kind of download whatever information I had to kind of pass it on and go, this is this is that. I helped them learn some techniques with search. And, I did things a little bit differently, kind of a little bit of New York thing where if I had an engine company that I wasn't really sure was solid, I would send a couple of my guys, go down and make sure the line keeps moving, like in a basement fire and stuff. And, again, it was a little weird. But anyway, so we had a real good fire one early evening on Harrison Street, big 3-decker, pull up, people trapped, people at the windows, places rocking like black smoke like I've never seen before. It's about 95 degrees, humid. We reported people trapped upstairs. We go up the stairs. And one of the guys, Dave, says, I got a lady here. So she was about 5 foot nothing and about 4 feet wide. And now it's getting really juicy. I don't know how she took a feed. I'll tell you, she really did. She took a beating up there. But I'm pushing her down the stairs as fast as I can, and he's trying to hold her back so she doesn't tumble down the stairs. And I could feel the heat on my shoulders, and I'm like, go, 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 keep moving. But we got her out, and it was a real good rescue. And they took people out over ladders, and again, 6:30 in the evening. It's like, you're gonna be kidding me. It ended up a fourth alarm. Like 10 guys went to the hospital. My wife heard people down. The chief at the department said that I'm dropping like flies, and that's when I said, you know what, she's had enough. I probably got to get out of here. So I decided time to retire.
How many years did you do total in the rescue?
20 with my 1 year as the officer. So 19 as a firefighter, 20 years.
How many years did you do on the Worcester Fire Department?
31 years. Yeah.
That's a good number.
So that's 43 with when I was just a junior guy, 43 total. Retired for 3 years, and I got the bug, and I decided to join the Dudley Fire Department. So there's probably 1,000 guys or whatever at home going, "What an asshole!" But
now, where is that?
It's a couple towns over from where I live, and they gave me a real They said, well, you're going to be the inside safety. You can do whatever you want, and just make sure guys stay safe. And I'm like, okay.
What does it exactly mean? You're a fireman. You're a chief. You're a what? What?
I'm a fireman, but I go inside and I help people to get out of there in one piece. I try to be the eyes and ears for the IC. Let him know what's going on or her know what's going on.
How big is that department, Paul?
So there's probably 25 members. They have about 3 or 4 people on each shift. That's it. The rest are on the PayPal thing.
And what? How far is that from your house? Is that close, or is that?
That's about 10 miles, maybe. But
and you work. That's a full-time gig, or?
No. I just go when there's a fire or something else.
You're like on call.
Yeah, it's like legalized buffing, and I get paid.
Legalized smacking.
God bless America.
You already think I'm a black cloud because I started July 1st, and we've had 4 decent jobs. One of them the other night was a 5th alarm in this chemical plant that was just unbelievable fire. And they're like, "What are you going to bring next?" And I said, "Don't ask me that. Because you never know."
John 2 wants to know about. Oh, where'd it go, Petey?
John 2.
I just saw it. No, ask Paul about the report getting signed while out on a run. I don't know what that means. Ask Paul to tell the story about the report getting signed while out on a run.
Oh, okay. So, all right, real quick. I don't know if you guys believe in spirits. I actually have a picture of this, so it's no bullshit. But we get a call for a suicide one night, young kid, and that's how my son died, by suicide. So pretty particular.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty
Sorry.
Significant call. So we're waiting on the street for a while, and then finally they determine the kid's not at that house. He's at some other house, and it's all good. So I go to make out the report, and I'm like, I wonder how long we sat out there waiting for the cops. So I go to look it up, and I can't find it. So in the log, you got all the numbers, whatever year it is, and blah, 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 an incident number, blah. So it's like 19 and then like 21, and 20's missing. I'm like, wow, that's weird. So I get a run, come back, log in again, the run comes up. So I'm like, well, how long were we there? So I look at the CAD system, and it says, the date, the time, it's like 0250 or whatever. And then at the bottom, it says, member making report, God strike me dead. Jeremiah M. Lucy.
What?
That's
I swear
crazy. That's nuts.
I swear to God. So
I'll tell you what, I believe that full-heartedly.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? Listen, let's not get too off the beaten path here, but we're all energy, right? We're all spirits. We're all energy in this meat wagon. And where does that go in the end?
Meat
right?
wagon.
Meat wagon.
Right? We're just our spirit is what's driving this meat wagon around. And
we are spirits living in the material world.
I'm telling you, and that's no
meat
joke.
Wagon.
Man.
I love that.
No joke.
How does John 2 know these stories? Did you work with John?
Well, John 2 and I used to teach together. And then John went down to South Carolina and so
with his gun rack on his pickup. Yeehaw! Stick it in your grandma.
Yeah. But strike me dead. I'm telling you,
wow.
I don't know. Kim, could you maybe try to find that picture in here on my phone? But so I called the IT guy and I took a picture of the screen because I said, nobody's going to believe this. It's the only smart thing I ever did. And I called the IT guy and I go, hey, you're going to think I'm crazy here, but this is what happened. And so I can't find the run anymore. It's gone. It's in the photos in there somewhere.
I would say you're wicked schmat.
Yeah. So, you know, when those IT guys are in the background, you can kind of see stuff moving around like the Matrix in there, you know?
Right.
And so I know he's looking for stuff and then he's going, huh. And I'm like, what's a huh mean? And he goes, I don't know. So anyway, he couldn't find it. So then he calls me back later and he goes, I found it. It was buried deep in the CAD system. And he says, I said, did you ever see anything like that before? He goes, no. So in the meantime, I tried to put in Jerry's name in the incident. And then because I was logged in, it wouldn't accept it. When I pushed like his J, my name came up. And so we thought maybe young Jerry Lucy did something, even though he didn't work with me. But the IT guy says, no, there's no record of Jerry Lucy III being on this computer at all during those times. And so
that is crazy, bro.
That's crazy story.
You know,
I believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like you got a dog back there.
I got a couple of them back. I don't know how the hell I got that.
The only one that I really wanted to mention, and I know time's getting short, was if you ever see a Worcester firefighter patch, it doesn't say Worcester Fire Department on it. It says Worcester Firefighter. And there's very few of those out there, very, very seldom. I've been to many funerals, seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of guys, and you're always a Worcester firefighter first. You're the chief of department, you wear a Worcester firefighter patch on your shoulder. And that's pretty cool. And there's not many of those around. So
that's a great idea.
That is cool.
And you know, one of the guys years ago designed this, and it's pretty awesome. You know.
Wow.
So, you got it?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think I can show you this. Maybe.
Yeah. It's going to be a little hard to see, but
there you go. Wait a minute.
There you go.
Pull it back a little bit.
Hold it right there. Center it up if you can, and then it'll adjust for that. And then bring it closer to the camera. Keep coming. I see it. Stop right there. Yep. Lucy.
Wow.
Jeremiah.
And then you can see the arrival up top is 5/9/2014.
Yep.
At like over 500 hours.
Wow.
So, you know, it is what it is.
That's crazy shit.
That's
I
a
can't
message.
see you guys anymore for some reason. I can only see.
Hold on. Yep. Sorry, I zoomed in on you. I'll zoom back out.
Right.
That's a message for sure.
Yeah, so
definitely is.
Yeah. Before we get to the old school tip of the day, I got to say one thing, Paul. Throughout your whole career that we talked about, first of all, what you've gone through, and I appreciate you coming on here and telling all your stories, man, because it shows your courage. You know, not only fighting fires, but you know, carrying all this with you.
Yep.
Is the fact that you keep getting back to your wife and how she's every time you tell a story, or just she's there. She's there, included in your story, including like telling you, hey, there's a fire here, which means she was tuned into the fire service, you know. So
she's like an honorary battalion chief. There's no question about it.
Yeah, kudos to you, man. Kudos to you and her, because honestly,
and actually, she wrote at the Nut House before I did. So when I was taking that exam, she was on 214, going to calls.
Nice, good for her.
Nice.
She always throws that out.
Yeah, so I always say, man, the unsung hero, honestly, is the firefighters' wives, because they put up with a lot of shit, man. They really do.
And
they carry the home front when things are tough.
Tremendous amount of good friends that have backed me up, and that's why I try to get back. You know, I do that. You know, and teaching all the time. And,
well,
anyway.
Great career, man. I'm so glad to have met you. You were around the corner from us, but we're going to talk about your other two ventures after this. But first, before we get to that, Pete, I think it's time for one thing.
You know what, guys? It is time for the old school tip of the day. And today, the old school tip of the day is brought to you by Firehouse247.com. Built by firefighters, Firehouse 24/7 solves shift scheduling problems with the first-hand knowledge of the biggest administration issues faced by the fire department today. Get your overtime shifts, details, and callbacks filled automatically according to your unique department policies and union rules. Expect easy integration with the systems you already use and a first-class customer service experience from the Firehouse 24/7 team. So schedule a call with the team at firehouse247.com and get started with your free trial right now. Email them at info@firehouse247.com, and departments that mention they heard about us on the Gettin Salty Experience podcast will receive 2 months of the software free.
Free? Oh,
Yeah.
Man, that's a fireman's favorite word. Free, bro.
Free, man. Free. First 2-month trial if you mention you saw us on the show. So tell them you saw them on the show, man.
Dude,
give it a try.
Why wouldn't you? It's free. It lightens the load on paperwork, and it takes the overtime marks out of the officer's hand. That's all I got to say, bro. You know what I mean?
You know it. And
don't leave it up to guys like that guy over there in the corner, bro, to make sure you get you paid. You know what I'm saying?
That was my only job. That was important.
Make sure I get my mark.
As you know, we have this sponsored segment, and the segment is the old school tip of the day. Day. Okay, take it away, LT.
All right, so I want to talk about searching, okay? And when you're searching in a fire, your focus generally is forward, and that's a good thing. And always wanting to keep moving forward is a good thing, but it's very important to be mindful of what's going on behind you. So every once in a while, you might have to back up. You might have to regroup a little bit, make sure you've got your bearings, make sure you know where you are, make sure of conditions. The thermal imager has helped with that a lot, but a lot of people with the tick forget to think about the sixth side of the building, the rear of where you are. All right, so each room has 6 sides. Remember to check behind you. All right, I always like to look out a window if I could, because if the fire was blowing out a 2nd floor window and I'm on the 3rd floor, if I can look out the window and I see the fire is knocked down, that's a good thing. If I look out the window and now it's out 2 more windows, that's a bad thing. And pay attention to what's being said on the fire ground. Just because they're not calling you a company, you need to listen to everything. You hear, we're having trouble with a hydrant. We have a burst length. The nozzle guy keeps calling for more pressure in the line. The chief says, hey, we need another alarm. That means things are not going well. So maybe you shouldn't keep pushing forward, right? Sometimes we push hard when there's a life that we're pretty certain is at stake, and that's pretty darn good. When you're on the fire ground, when you're searching, turn your radio down, and every now and then stop, take a breath, and listen. You might hear somebody moaning, but you might hear fire over your head, things like that. And that's where you start to make decisions. I always tried to see or know who my engine companies were, right? We had an office of Fran Dumas, Engine 12, probably one of the best offices in the engine ever. And if he was on the line or with the company that night, then I knew we could go hard because he wasn't going to leave us up there. And so know your players, but don't forget what's behind you. And then always know your equipment. Know it inside and out, okay? Because too many times that I've seen, firefighters think they know what they have for equipment, and then you ask them how something works, and they're wrong. And it's because you didn't do your job. You didn't do your homework. Now, I know everybody loves the New England Patriots. So when Bill Belichick says, hey, make sure you know this play, and you go, hey, Bill, we got it. We know this play. We're not going to have to practice that today. Yeah, you're now working on the Colts team, okay? So be a professional. Doesn't matter if you're a full-time guy, a part-time guy. If you go into burning buildings, you're a professional. Be a professional, right?
Nice.
Perfect. Bill Belichick. Nope, never heard of him. Nope.
Yeah.
I'm a Jets fan. Never heard of him.
I know.
Nice. That's
Pete, before we get to the other 2 things, I think Lieutenant sent pictures of his son-in-law, right? He's on the job. He's the guy who got me.
My son-in-law and my daughter are there with me in my uniform, my dress uniform. That's at a December 3rd memorial. And every year people come, whether it's sanctioned or an official thing. Every year there's hundreds of people that come to the memorial on December 3rd.
Got you for that. Hold on one sec.
Yeah, they're called denim coats.
Thank you, Loot7 in the chat. We appreciate that. Coats. Hold on. Yep, I got it right here. Sorry, guys. Just there it is.
Yeah. So that's my son-in-law, Don O'Brien, and that's my beautiful daughter, Kim O'Brien, and she's on the Auburn Fire Department, and Donnie is on the rescue in Group 3, kind of on my in my old spot. So.
Oh wow! I didn't know your daughter was on too. Cool.
Yeah, she's on in Auburn and firefighter paramedic, and her career is just like mine, headlong into every shitstorm there could possibly be. Handles it pretty good. So
I appreciate your son-in-law getting me in touch with you. I met him at the show as well. So
yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yep. So let's talk about how I met you really quick. Let's talk about the door that you have, the forcible entry door.
So I started teaching forcible entry many years ago, and I couldn't find a good door out there that you could use over and over and over again. So I made my own, and over the years I perfected it, and it's really lifelike. It's the realism of it. It's
who knows that guy? Oh, I was going to say, does anybody know who that is? Yeah.
I actually said to him, "Do you want me to tap the Halligan in for you?" And he said, "I don't need any help." I believe him. Okay, I believe him. I watched him force the door by himself. He said it was good. He's a man of many words, and I'm okay with that. So.
And who is this, just for our audio audience who may be listening to this?
That is Bob Morris, from former Rescue 1 captain and a chief.
28 truck. Bob. Never heard of him.
Oh, he's a chief in Connecticut now, isn't he?
He is. He works for Procaccini. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. All the busy companies and.
He is. We're gonna get him on the show once he leaves.
There he is, not needing any help forcing that
door.
No,
he really didn't. Nope. He just
getting it around the jam there, like a professional.
Yeah.
Like
it's really cool because as they always say, drillers make killers, right? And that's the whole thing right there. If you're not working at it, you're working at your craft. When it comes down to it, you're not going to have the nerve to do it when it's for real. So, I mean, unbelievable that you
drillers make killers.
Drillers make killers, dude. If you could, that's a big jiu-jitsu thing, right? Everyone's like constantly drilling. But yeah.
So I say when a guy gets to the door, a gal gets to the door, and they look like they're a baton twirler spinning that thing around, then they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, nice point. That would be me. I want to learn a little bit of forcible entry.
You will. Listen, when we go to the Rock to do that next segment, you'll be doing all of that.
I want to learn though. That's something I actually really care about. Forcible
entry. All right, let's quickly get to Lou's other project that he's got going on.
Yeah. So
nope, not that one, Pete.
Which is the other one?
It's the coldstoragefire.com.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. I got that. Hold on one second.
I'm gonna call you out of order again, Pete. Let's go.
No, I'm not. We weren't supposed to show that, but that's okay.
You are.
I'm sorry, Pete.
Bad call Ray as a witness. Did we?
Yes, you can, because I was supposed to take a picture from that site, not to put the site up, gentlemen.
No worries.
But that's okay, because I'm prepared for that now, too.
Well, we like to get Pete under the bus, right, Ray?
Yeah,
Pete, we all buy our pencils with erasers on the back, brother.
Good luck.
Oh, look at you. That's not the old Ray I know. You want to keep kicking him, bro.
Keep kicking. That's all right. I'm
the gentler kind of Ray.
Is that the gentler kind of Ray? I don't know who you are, bro. I mean, come on, bro.
There you go. All right. There you go. There it is.
All right. So what this is it's a project that I started because members, people who attended the memorial service, firefighters that came to support us, people who stood on the side of the road, everybody's getting older, and I want to preserve the memories of the events that took place in the days and weeks and months after the cold storage fire. And it don't have to be bad things. And, I'm sure there were many friendships that happened from people who came to the memorial, met people. I know we've made many friendships when we did our seminars. We have dinner with the same group of people every year that came to speak. John Salker and Butch Cobb and Mickey Conboy and Bobby Athanas and all these guys that came to help us. So I know there's a ton of good stuff out there as well, but there is a link when you get down to the bottom, and it basically it says who I am, and I'm not just some guy probing for information. Obviously, I'm Jerry's buddy, and basically there's a spot in the bottom where you can write in your story, and at some point we'd like to be able to pass those stories on. Ultimately, it'll probably end up at the Worcester Historical Society, I believe. And then, 100 years from now, if somebody wants to read about what happened, whether you're a guy that's retired that fought the fire, whether you're somebody who came and helped us, whatever it is, I don't know. Words can be healing. So I think if you can put to words the things that are bothering you, maybe that'll be of use. So the family members, pretty much anybody. What I really want, though, is like firsthand accounts. I don't want a guy told me about a guy who did this that I don't really want. Right. So Firehouse Magazine is assisting me with this. And I hope that, people will take advantage. There's some boxes to check, basically, so we can categorize where the stories are, whether you were on the fire ground, whether you went to the memorial, things like that, just so that we're able to figure out where all the different stories go. So
I read this quote that I thought was appropriate is, do you know that a man is not dead while his name is still spoken? So I think it's important to remember everything that everybody did and everything about everybody that passed.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that maybe we should have started years ago, but I just took the ball and ran with it. And 25th anniversary is coming up in a couple of years.
Wow. And
so, again, that story about the guy that I changed his cylinder, Steve passed away not long ago. Another guy, Jose Ramos, the guy that led the band, he passed away. Steve's brother, Eddie Knoll, he passed away not too long ago. The chief of department, within the last year or so. So everybody's getting older. We need to preserve these memories. So here's your opportunity to submit whatever story it is, and
we appreciate you coming on the show because you preserve the stories right on the show right now. That's what we tell guys all the time.
Yeah.
Got to get this stuff, not only the fire up in Worcester, we got to get all these stories down. We got to get these stories from guys from years and years can hear these stories firsthand, and we appreciate you coming on, Paul. We really do. I know there were tough things to talk about.
No, it's, I don't mind.
Yeah, I appreciate your candidness. And I thank you for your service, man. Great career. Another hard charger.
It was great meeting you at the show, even though you didn't go and get a Bloody Mary over there at the Soul.
Just saying. Kevin, you weren't feeling well? What happened?
Speaking of people who are going soft in their old age.
I was getting shit-faced in the booth with Cliffy.
Hey, no, you weren't. You were working hard.
I can't see that
happen. Your wife is you were working hard.
We had hot dogs that night. Hot dogs, and the next night we went to the diner.
It'll be great when we were up at down the shore. Actually.
Oh, speaking of down the shore, Pete and I will be down in Wildwood. What is that? The 17th, Pete? Is that what it is?
It's the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. But I think we're actually showing that Friday and Saturday, right?
Thursday. We're moving in Thursday, Friday.
You're moving in Thursday. I'm going to be there Friday morning.
Oh, I see how I'm moving in by myself. You see how that happened, right?
Yes.
And we will be
I got to drive my family down there with me too.
Well, that means you won't be down there Friday morning to sell.
I'll be there Friday morning.
Kevin, it's better to walk alone than in bad company.
I hear what you say. We'll be down
there. Et tu, Brute?
We will be down there in Wildwood in the One Source booth. So if you look for the guys from One Source, Jamie and Big Billy will be in their booth hanging out. I'll probably be by myself again Friday, but don't worry about it, Pete. I'll be all right. And then
I will be with you on Friday.
Right.
In the morning.
Ray, you want to bet? How much you want to bet? My wife, my kid's gonna get out of school. A beep, bada boop, bada bop, bada
my
beep.
kids, my back, Miami. Forget it. No way.
Yeah.
Shut
and the other thing is,
silly woman.
Was it the 27th? What is the Firehouse Expo? I think it's the 27th. We'll be in Columbus, Ohio. Come out and see me and Roofy. Roofy's making this one. What's the common denominator here, Ray? Me. I'm the common denominator. I'll be in all
the linchpin, the anchor stone. You are it, brother.
1802. We'll be in booth 18. Booth 1802.
Very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Can I give a shout out to a guy, Brian McGowan from
You can give as many shout outs as you would like, my friend.
So Brian, right after the fire, decided he was going to make 100 W6 stickers and sell them for $5 a piece to raise $500 for the family. Last time I was told, the number was over 30,000 stickers had been sold.
Whoa!
It became almost a full-time job for him.
Yeah, we had one on the old squad rig on the Seagrave before this one. We had a W6 on.
They were put on bombs and dropped on a rack.
Nice.
Yeah, everything. But yeah, here's a guy that tried to raise $500, and he spent like 10 years making these stickers.
Wow, that's great. Maybe we could put one on Pete's car, and he can make it down to Wildwood on Friday. I don't know.
I will be there on Friday. I will be there on Friday.
All right. Yeah, Friday at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
No. First thing.
The show starts at 9. You gonna be there at 9?
No, I'll be there at.
All right, Paul.
You know me. I work banker's hours, bro.
I'll be selling by myself again. I'll be selling by myself.
No, you won't. Not this time. Now we know what we got to do.
Anyway, yes. I appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, look at Pete. We know Kevin's kids had to man the booth because Pete wasn't there yet. Yeah.
And my kids manned the booth on Saturday. Come on.
All right.
It'll be good.
I hope to see you soon.
Show. A very good thing you guys are doing too, by the way. I want you to know.
I appreciate you coming on and sharing your stories, Paul.
I don't know how good it is working with Kevin, but for sure, definitely,
well, you won't know. You won't know Friday. You'll know Saturday. So. Right.
As I've known before.
Paul, it was a pleasure. Paul, it's a pleasure hearing your stories. It was so really great to hear firsthand about what went on. And thanks for what you do and keeping the story alive.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying. So again, WorcesterColdStorageFire.com.
Yep.
Get out there
now. It's up to you, and if you don't, then the legacy dies away with
that's WorcesterColdStorageFire.com and also ForcibleDoors.com. If you guys are interested in getting a forcible door for your firehouse, you guys can train.
I think you spelled that Worcester wrong, Pete. I think it's Worcester. You left the H out.
No H.
That's it.
No H.
No.
Okay, I stand corrected. It's Worcester.
I did it exactly. WORCESTER is the correct spelling. Which
my bad. It takes a man to admit when he's wrong, Pete. I'm wrong, but I will be right about the fact that you won't be there on Friday.
I will be there, you son of a bitch.
Shut up, silly woman.
All right, thank you again, and thank your wife and your daughter for helping you get on. I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
LT, just hang with us though. We're gonna go through a few.
And your son-in-law for putting us in touch. And Ruffy will be back. We have Lieutenant Ward on. A Bronx guy, Bronx truckie. We've had a couple of Brooklyn guys on. Now we got a Bronx guy coming on. On Thursday. Yep.
What?
All right.
What?
Okay. Anyway.
All right.
We're getting ready to go here, getting a little loopy. But guys, listen to us on all the audio players as well. It's not just a video podcast. It's also on iTunes Podcast, Spotify, wherever podcasts are found. Period. You'll find us there. Also, if you're here at youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience, hit that like, subscribe, and share button. We can only grow if you do that. Guys, please, that's the only thing we ask of you. Do it if you can, please. Instagram @SaltyDog Inc. is where you'll find us, where Mr. Refrano curates the best saltiest fire footage or fire pictures out there in the game. GettinSaltyApparel.com, guys. We already spoke about that. That's where you find the hats, the apparel, the Hearst tool, nail clippers, all the good stuff. All right. Thank you to everyone who donated in the super chat. Thank you to Bear, the dog, who's in Kevin's frame right there, kissing his dad, I guess. Thank you.
I can smell his breath.
It's beautiful. It smells like nuts. Facebook, guys, Gettin Salty fans page. Get over there and subscribe. Gettin Salty ads at gmail.com if you want to email me about advertising with the show. Gettin Salty Experience at gmail.com if you want to email us some Q&As and general inquiries. Also, Coobs Podcast at gmail.com for all of our news shows. You guys know that we do a news show every so often. Cockloafs and cocktails, all that good stuff. Email us your helmet cam footage, your fire photos. It doesn't have to be yours. Just tell us where it came from. Your rig photos, your mustache photos, your tattoo photos, your firehouse kitchen table, your firehouse, and the hot old lady.
Hot old lady.
Don't forget about that.
Ladies.
We can't keep having Mrs. Procaccini keep winning and winning and winning. Although I am positive she will keep winning and winning and winning because.
Yes. Although Ronzoni's old lady was
Ronzoni's,
yes,
Mrs.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to tell you, when we go out to Ohio, Brian Weiskittles was the first official hot old lady.
Was she the one with the axe in the sexy photo?
That's Saul. That's Saul.
Oh, that was Saul. Good old Saul.
Better call Saul. Oh, this is Weiskittle, the very first. She's hot too. She's coming out to hang out with us in Ohio. So if you want to come out, hang with us in Ohio at the 27th. And Lieutenant Paul, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for sitting in for Roofy.
Thanks for having me. Had a great time. Thank you so much.
We think he's back on Thursday. We don't know. And remember September 11th, you want to come up and remembrance. We got Cinco de Mayo on 9/11. I got Gonzo and Jose coming up. Staying in my house, it's like a hostel up here. I don't know what it is. It's going to be a hostel. Yeah, because that's what I do. I open my house to
firefighters from across the globe. You know who we should have come stay at your place? Thibodeau. That's what, he should come stay at your place.
Budapest,
my friend Budapest. Come.
It's all open. Yeah, it's all open.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Hang with us, LT. We're gonna check out. But
all right. Yep. All right. Stay low and go, fellas and ladies.
All right. See you at the big one. I guess.
Oh, you took
Take care, everyone. Be well.
Cheers, everybody.